But I think the development of full artificial intelligence could spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
With a rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. That's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0.
Doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. This show is live. We get together Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and we talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. You know what those things are? Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. Like I said, this show is live. We are streaming on Facebook, D-Live, and YouTube. We are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. Thank you very much to Joe Roop, Ryan Gable, and company for allowing us to be part of that gizmo, absolutely fantastic radio station, because it's another way to get the word out. The word out that we're being fooled. The word out that things are not as they seem, and we do live in a bizarre version of the upside down. As I always say, there's a weirdness to things these days, very much in the post-truth era, and very much where we can't even really take for granted anything regarding information anymore. And it's part of why we started doing this show, and doing it in the format that we do it, meaning that we do this live. It's to include you guys in chat. It's to include phone callers that can actually be part of the show and give you thoughts in real time without the media having to get in between us, right? Like, think of it this way. If you get interviewed by the media, let's say something, God forbid, something terrible happens and the media shows up around your house, they're going to want to interview you, right? Well, what happened? What went down? What was this? What was that? And they may spend, 10 minutes interviewing you, but then what they do is they chop it up perfectly to put it on the evening news. And, in like out of a 10-minute interview, you get like, maybe 12 seconds of exactly what they wanted you to say, completely out of context, and that's just the way the world works anymore. And so this is kind of the anti-media. That's what Troubled Minds has always kind of been, and always where we've wanted to take this, because if you get enough people with open minds and good hearts and looking to make the world a better place, I think it's easy I don't know about easy, maybe not anymore, but I think it's an easy concept to maybe point in the right direction and share information directly. All right, just share information directly. You don't have to get censored by the media. Number one, misquoted, taken out of context, any of the rest of this stuff. You don't have to do that. It's not like if you play with their in their game. Sure, you that stuff will happen. But this is not that. This is the opposite of that. We try and give you time to kind of flesh out your ideas if you want to call in. And like I said, this is not a show like in the traditional manner, not a radio show. More of like let's call it a radio conversation. It goes two ways. I start it, and hopefully you guys call in and tell me about what you think. And we range the gamut of all kinds of stuff. So very much like Clyde Lewis, like I said in the past, that this show is not without him, because he's a pioneer, in my opinion, for radio and for kind of pointing the way for this show. So anyway, after all the ramble here, point being is we have an open phone line. If you want to be part of the show at any point, give us a call. Phone number is right there, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can join the Discord at troubledminds.org and also at fringe.fm/chat. I'm trying to watch all the chats, all the Discords, and all the things. I've got some plugins, some cheating AI helping me, but for the most part, I'm just trying to watch all the chats. So I'm trying to read it all and put it up and say hi and all the rest of that stuff. We'll do that as we go, but if you have to be on the show and you want to get your thought heard, the best way is to just dial the phone number or jump in the Discord. Discord is a chat client. It is a voice client. It is what all the kids are using to play video games. Let's say youngsters. I think kids is derogatory these days because everything's derogatory these days. But the youngsters are using Discord to play video games. Us old timers, and I'm not even an old timer really, but we're using it to do talk shows because that's how great Discord is. You can use it for many different things. And did I mention it's totally free and you can call in from anywhere in the world, international style. So that's why we have the two different mediums to call in, because I understand 702 area code is from Las Vegas, and if you're from the United Kingdom, for instance, it's less good. Right? What would George Orwell say? Double plus bad? I don't know what he'd say. But anyway, all right, so that's what we're doing tonight, and we're talking about, speaking of what we're talking about, let's talk about what we're talking about. How about that? Tonight. Now, I've had this theory for quite some time, and it's one of those things where you're kind of working with evidence from the past. And not only that, rumors sometimes, and top secret programs, and a whole bunch of other things, right? So you kind of have to be really pay attention and read between the lines of what's going on. And so this is a theory that I came up with back in December of 2019. All right. Now, it was sort of one of those things where I just kind of kept digging and trying to find out what on earth UFOs could be. Meaning that, of course, this show, we talk about UFOs quite a lot. Tonight, we're going to talk about fake UFOs. And in particular, why we should not trust the mainstream media, and why I'm extremely suspicious of this disclosure movement that's going on right now in the media and in the government and all the rest of these people, right? There's a whole bunch of drama going down with Lou Elizondo and with Stephen Greer, and it's kind of a crap show. But we'll talk about that tomorrow. That's not for tonight. But the thing is that when you get information coming from the government to the media and then reported to us, there's a very particular reason why they do this. Like I say on the news show, the Troubled Minds news show, which we do Monday and Friday, by the way, at 3 p.m. Pacific on Twitch. I say that in the intro that repetition is the most basic form of brainwashing, and that's the truth. And the reason why the media cascade, it seems to be all the same thing, is because they want us to believe whatever they're telling us, right? And so they continue to wash this out in the media and say it over and over again. And of course, once you tell a lie enough times, what do they call it? They call it the big lie. And once the big lie is told enough times, people start to accept it for the truth. So that's the thing, right? That's what we're doing tonight. We're going to talk about some fake UFOs and an old theory that I've had that actually had some new information come out. I do like when new information hits, as you know, I like to start things with a current, fresh news article, at least one, and kind of go from there. And so this theory goes back to, again, December of 2019. I did a whole show on this, and it was really kind of clunky, not really fleshed out as well because I was working with incomplete information. But now, in the past 6, 7, 8 months, there's new information that has actually come out that has described exactly what I speculated way back in December of 2019. So I know if you've been listening to this show for a long time, some of this may be a repeat, but it's important to lay it out in the context that we're going to, because there is new information. There is new information here that basically says, hey, the UFOs that we're seeing may not be real, all right? Not visually seen in the sky, like if you go out and you look at the sky, the UFO you see may be very real, all right? But what I'm telling you is the UFO we're shown from the mainstream media may not be real at all. And let's get into that. What's up, guys? I see you out there in the chat. Thanks for showing up. I appreciate all the enthusiasm about the show. Like I said, it makes it really easy to do. Now, one more time, if you want to be part of the show at any point tonight, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Go to troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link and you can join the show that way as well. All right, so now this is the thing. This is the new article, all right, that has kind of snapped this into not only into perspective, but also it's kind of solidified an opinion I've had for quite some time now about what UFOs may or may not be. All right, and again, now I want to be clear about this, because people like to take you out of context and say you're saying a bunch of stuff that you aren't. All right, so I want to be clear that I'm not saying all UFOs are these things. Okay, I am not saying that. What I am saying is that the information that we get from the mainstream media and from possibly TTSA, the Gimbal, the Go Fast, and the FLIR videos, FLIR 1, those may very well be something like this. This is from Forbes.com, and it was written by an individual named David Hambling. And he's a fantastic follow on Twitter, and he's answered me and actually been pretty kind and on Twitter, and he's a kind of... If I had something sideways to say to Jeremy Corbell, which I have on Twitter, he backs me up. David Hambling here has backed me up on Twitter, Jeremy Corbell. So anyway, it is cool that you get these guys write these articles, and then somebody craps on it and doesn't tag them, and then you tag them on Twitter, and then they show up and go, oh yeah, hi, I'm the guy that wrote that. Yeah, and then Jeremy Corbell had nothing to say. FYI, I'll link that Twitter exchange at the end of this so you guys can see what I'm talking about, and you'll see why it's so funny. Anyway, headline here is this: UFOs, plasma lasers, and the Pentagon's voice of God weapon. Now, in the old days, when I was kind of putting this together, I was talking about Project Oxcart. I was talking about a new project called Nemesis, which is like drone swarms to radar spoof, not just against fighter jets and things like this, against radars, against missiles, incoming missiles, where if you put like a swarm of drones in the air, it's able to maybe break up the infrared or whatever the tracking is on these missiles, things like that, right? So I was kind of, in some sense, in that manner, barking up the wrong tree, all right? But in light of information that has come out, like I said, in the last 6, 7, 8 months, and if you guys haven't been listening to this show for a long time, let me explain. Here we go. This is straight from the article here, written by David Hambling, who's of aerospace and defense. That's his specialty, and he has a really impressive list of articles. If you want to check him out, please do on Forbes.com, and if you just Google his name, David Hambling, Hambling, and you can find all kinds of things that are kind of space age. Like, he covers aerospace and defense, and so the things he's talking about are really cutting edge weapons platforms type stuff. And so a lot of the the dystopian future we're talking about is happening today. You just have to go know where to look for it, where to find it. And guys like this, I don't know if he's got contacts or he worked in the industry or what's going on, but he seems to be on the game. But okay, here we go, straight from the article. As previously reported by Forbes, the U.S. Navy is looking at ultra-short laser pulses, which create glowing plasma in mid-air to decoy missiles away from aircraft. This might explain some of the UFOs described in the recent Pentagon report on unexplained aerial phenomena. It turns out that interest in this technology goes back further than you might think, and not just in the U.S. Back in 1966... Hear that? 1966. commentators were trying to make sense of a previous report on UFOs, the Air Force's Project Blue Book. Like the modern version, this concluded there was no evidence that UFOs were extraterrestrial craft, but was thin on explanation. Philip Klass, avionics editor at Aviation Week and notable UFO skeptic, wrote his analysis with the added perspective of a background in electrical effects. He concluded that some UFOs were luminous plasmas of ionized air, a special form of ball lightning generated by electric corona that occurs on high-tension power lines under certain conditions. Okay, so there's that, right? Now, not only, so famously, infamously, in the old days, Project Blue Book, right? They wrote off a lot of the UFOs as, mass hallucination, swamp gas, Venus in the night sky, things like this, right? Ball lightning, which we did an entire show on ball lightning back in the day, by the way. And ball lightning is suspiciously absent from actually historical records, meaning that I think they didn't actually record the first ball lightning in nature until like 2008 or something like that in China, right? So we did a whole show on that. I'll link that in the bottom of this too. Somebody remind me if I forget. But so the thing is this, right? So we're talking about ball lightning being described as these UFO phenomenon back in the 60s through Project Blue Book, right? But notably, not only in the 60s were they doing Project Blue Book, they were also doing this thing called, what was this called? Project Palladium. If you've never heard of Project Palladium, what it was very much like we're discussing here. It was a radar spoofing trick that was used by the NSA, by the CIA, and I think those were the two involved, and they were actually making Soviet and Cuban aircraft believe they saw UFOs on their radar. And this goes back to the late 50s, all right, that we were talking about this stuff. Now, this is the craziest part. So if we were actually fooling pilots in the late 50s, early 60s, jet pilots with radar on board, to see UFOs, at least on radar, how far do you think we've got from then, from the late 50s, early 60s, right? Just kind of in a vacuum, knowing how technology progresses. And this was really the working theory that I had back in December of 2019, because I was like, all right, if this palladium thing was really going on, which we'll get to palladium, we'll look at some of the details in a sec here as well. But if this was really happening back then, and they were fooling Soviet and Cuban actual professional aviators with real radar systems set up in their jets, they were fooling them to believe they were seeing UFOs, then what are we doing now, right? Like, what kind of radar spoofing technology do we have that's so super top secret that, well, it would be space age, wouldn't it? It would be space age. It would be very convincing, right, that it was an actual UFO. Now, Lou Elizondo has said famously in the Unidentified series when he was talking about this that we don't have the capability to fool two systems at once, right? That's what he said. And therein, I think, is the big lie here regarding this whole Tic Tacs and UFOs and the rest of this. And I'll tell you why. Clearly, he worked in intelligence, and I think that he says that not because he's trying to mislead. I think because he can't say we have that capability, right? Because of his NDA, his clearance that he still has, right? This type of thing. So you know what I mean? I'm going to give him a pass on that, because you just can't go on a TV show and spill classified information. You can't. All right. But all right. So as this continues and as we roll into this now. Once again, I was working with Project Palladium and some newer type of situations with radar spoofing and plasma. All right, plasma. And so you see it right here. Back in 1966, this individual, actually, Philip Klass, reporting on stuff from 1966 in Project Blue Book, was saying that some UFOs were luminous plasmas of ionized air. All right, listen to that. Luminous plasmas of ionized air. And how does that happen, right? Like, you don't just go, pull a light bulb out and turn on a switch and you got a plasma UFO in the sky, right? Of course not. DARPA's been working on this for how long? Who knows how long? And of course, I don't have proof of that because, well, it's DARPA. There's hardly any proof behind that. That's as opaque as anything. But like I said, if they were doing this and fooling Soviet and Russian pilots in the late 50s, early 60s to believe they saw UFOs on radar, do you think now, how many years later? Let's just say 1960. It is 2021. That is 61 years later from 1960. Do you really think we don't have the ability to spoof two systems at a time? To actually fool a radar system and the human eyeball, or a radar and infrared, or all three at the same time? Do you really believe that we don't have the ability to do that? Come on. Like, are we being serious here? All right, so I'm going to continue to make the case. And this is important. And let me tell you why. Because nobody in ufology is talking about this. Nobody I've heard is really bringing this up. Everybody wants to just kind of gloss over it and say, no, but the UFOs, the aliens. Okay, fine. And don't get me wrong. I believe they're out there. That some of these UFOs are real. All right. What I do not believe is that the UFOs that we're seeing, they're giving to us through leaks, through sanctioned leaks. I do not believe those are real. And I think they are this. Let's continue with this article, shall we? Again, if you want to be part of the show at any point, 702-957-1037. Here we go. So ball lightning. Okay, we're going to skip that. Now this gets interesting, right? Modern ultra-short pulse lasers provide a reliable means to create plasma remotely. All right, ultra-short pulse lasers. Now, this article is from today. Pulse duration is measured in femtoseconds, 10 to the millionth or billionth of a second. In 2005, two research scientists working for French defense giant Thales, Thales, published a paper looking at the missile defense potential of this effect, in particular for countering heat-seeking missiles. In addition to other possibilities, they suggested, quote, plasma that can be used as active decoys against IR homing electronics, just like the U.S. Navy from 2018. And they're talking about the UFO incident, of course, the what happened just off the coast of California there with the Tic Tacs and the whole deal. Now, this is what I'm saying, and this is why we have to be extremely careful when we get information from basically whoever, right? Whoever. You never know who's leaking what to whom, all right? And meaning that people with good intentions can be used by the government or by the media or both to press something forward that they think they have inside information on, and they actually do not. You understand what I'm saying? So we still have these leaks and these sanctioned leaks and then these unsanctioned leaks. So the point being is this. We'll get into some more of this technology as we go, and you'll be probably surprised if you've never heard of this, that it's easily done. This is easily done these days. And so not only that, if we're maybe testing these types of things on our aircraft, which you would have to do at some point, right? If you know it's going to work on enemy aircraft. If it works on ours, it sure as hell is going to work on enemy aircraft. Or let's say adversarial, because nobody's really the enemy, right? Unless you want to create the enemy, the boogeyman, the Emmanuel Goldstein, as it were. But point being is that if they work on our equipment, they're going to work on anybody's equipment, right? Being the largest, the best military in the world, whatever it's going to be, however you want to quantify it, right? So that's what we're talking about. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing tonight. And we got some interesting stuff. If you've never heard this theory, and there's a lot of actual good data behind this theory. However, it's interesting to note that for all the press that happens, nobody in the press talks about this. And why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? Yep, exactly. We might be onto something. Here. So, all right, as we finish up and get down to the bottom of the hour here, this is Troubled Minds. I am Michael Strange. We're talking about fake UFOs tonight. And not just fake UFOs, radar spoofing, plasma, ball lightning, but generated to fool not just radar, but IR, FLIR, the human eye, and everything else. If you want to be part of the show tonight, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Love to hear from you on this. Don't go anywhere. More Troubled Minds after the break. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and DLive. We are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. We're taking your phone calls tonight, and we're talking about fake UFOs, and not just the kind that you get people trying to fake you out on YouTube or create clickbait drama or get some attention with their Photoshop CGI handiwork. We're not talking about that kind of fake UFO, though it does play a part in this, I think. It does play a part in this conversation that it's possible, now it's entirely possible, just throwing out a theory there, that maybe, just maybe, that the Pentagon has people cranking out fake UFOs and CGI and Photoshop as just part of more disinformation. Just throwing it out there. I don't know how true that is, but it seems like it could be a thing. It seems not really that much of a stretch, if you catch my meaning. So anyway, we're taking your phone calls tonight as we talk about this fake UFO theory. Now, not only, and again, I want you guys to understand, I'm not saying aliens aren't real. Clearly, the universe is too big, aliens are real. Clearly. However, what I am saying is we have to be very careful with how we classify UFOs coming from official sources, meaning that they're telling us about these Tic Tacs, right? They're telling us about the gimbal, the FLIR one, the Go Fast videos. They're telling us about these gun camera footage that was caught in infrared, and we're supposed to believe that these particular UFOs are not cherry-picked in just such a way that they can control the narrative. Again, notice we have 3 UFO videos which are the same, right? Very much the same. Very much similar shaped objects. They're everybody described them as Tic Tacs with little feet on the bottom is how these things have been described. And you see my point. If you go back to Project Blue Book, there is a very large, basically all kinds of different UFOs, meaning there were saucers, there were cigar shapes, there were orbs, there were everything. Like basically, if you can imagine these shapes of UFOs, they were there in Project Blue Book, all right? But these new ones, the ones that we're expected to believe is this disclosure project, right, well, they're Tic Tacs. And so, of course, we've had some leaks from Corbell and George Knapp, and, they're not really, let's say, not so compelling, in my opinion. All right, that's just one guy's opinion. That maybe they're aliens from Alpha Centauri. I don't know, but I would expect. Well, anyway, we'll move on for that. I don't again, like a Night Stalker said, it's so fun to crap on Corbell. I don't want to do that. Not too much, anyway. Okay, point being, let's get back to this. Now we are taking your phone calls. What do you think about this plasma theory, plasma in the sky? And I'll explain. So if you don't actually know what I'm talking about, we're going to get to some more details here and get rolling with this. But 702-957-1037, troubledminds.org. All right, let's continue. Let's go back to this article. This is from David Hambling in Forbes. All right, like I said, fantastic writer here, and he covers aerospace and defense, and he's looking at this and saying, wait a minute, there is a problem here. All right, it's not just these ball lightning sorts of things, right, which is kind of described back in the day as writing off a lot of the Project Blue Book UFOs. He's describing this thing called ultra short pulse lasers. All right, provided a reliable means to create plasma remotely. Pulse duration is measured in femtoseconds, F-E-M-T-O seconds, femtoseconds, or millions of billions of a second. In 2005, 2 research scientists working for French defense giant Thales produced a paper looking at the missile defense potential of this effect, all right, which we talked about. And they suggested, quote, plasma that can be used as active decoys against IR homing electronics. All right. Now, that's what I'm talking about. So not just in particular, right, missile spoofing, because clearly that's a valuable thing. But what if you could fool pilots into believing the things they're looking at are actual UFOs when they're not? How do you think that would, 1, mess with a pilot's psyche, 2, mess with their radar and everything else? And they've said, I think recently it was Dietrich that came out and said that not only were they having these issues with seeing these Tic Tacs flying around and coming in and out of the water and all this other stuff, which, by the way, you could do with plasma, right? You could do this. You could make the plasma dip into the water and foam it up and the rest of this. You could do these things. But Dietrich said they were also being jammed at the same time. All right. So it seems to me that this is more of a human intelligence. All right. Not necessarily a extraterrestrial intelligence, just these particular ones, the Tic Tacs. All right. So anyway, as this continues, let's see. A 2010 Chinese paper on femtosecond laser applications to EO countermeasures also discusses the potential for short pulse lasers in confusing missile guidance, but there do not appear any Chinese open source papers on this topic. Again, it may be a crazy idea which went nowhere, or it may be research is just not carried out openly, right? Now, as we're going to get to the rest of this as we go tonight, we got plenty of time. If you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. Let's go to Daryl in New York. What's up, Daryl? How are you tonight?
Hey, Michael. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for asking. What do you think about this absolutely crazy idea about plasma in the sky being a radar spoofing technology that we're confusing for UFOs?
I am so happy you are talking about this. It's like if I told you about 6 years ago, 2015, 2016, I was filming the most ridiculous things over Manhattan, and everyone thought I was crazy. And it's exactly what you're talking about today. And I have videos, like the most insane things. Nobody even wanted to listen to me when I described what was in the New York City skies. I mean, I'm talking like a dinosaur, a flying carpet, burning bridges, like literally like New York would look like it had been hit by a bomb at the end of the day, and then the next day it would be normal again. It looked like Cheerios. I have proof of this. I know it sounds crazy even now, but because you're talking about this, I have to bring this up. There was like an overlay of tanks in Times Square that I caught. I'm like, what? Who's doing this? Who's making holographic overlays? Like, are they practicing this on major cities for a future event? There would be fake planes. I had fake helicopters, things that would morph into like, it would look like a bird and then would turn into a helicopter. And that it's not real. You know what I mean? I know I sound crazy, but
no, you don't.
I swear to God, I'm going to back it up with videos. I swear I'm not talking like a crazy person. Maybe I am,
okay.
But
you're okay. You're okay.
This was like
you're in good company.
all over the city, and I mean, I'm in good company.
yeah, it's all good.
But I can't believe you're discussing this now.
No, so this is the thing, right? So not only, so we'll get into some more. So this gets more spooky. It's not just, it's like you're describing, actually. It gets more into the spooky side of this and leaning more toward like the Project Bluebeam and the fake alien invasion, which is back in the news big time, by the way. I don't know if you saw that, the documentary by Stephen Greer. He just put it out a couple days back. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. But it does seem that there's some weirdness happening with not just the technology available to do things like you're describing. And like I've always said, these plasma things in the sky can spoof anything. Like I made this example back when I first speculated this, again, back in December of 2019. I said, look, if you could put a plasma image in the sky, you could make Elvis playing the guitar in the sky. You could do this, and you could make it convincing.
Absolutely.
And you could,
Absolutely.
yeah. And so so the things you're describing, I believe you. I think they're testing these things, and I think not only that, they're trying to make us believe the things that are not real are actually real. And I think that's probably what's going on here.
Right.
And not just from a military perspective, maybe from a different other gain of function type perspective. So that's my take on it. I don't know. So maybe you could describe a little bit more of what you saw in New York.
Well, I tell you, it's hard to even know if it's real or not. And how are we going to know if it's real or not when it does happen? Like, how can we tell the truth or the difference between the realistic, the CGI is so good that you're like, wow, that happened. That's happening. Like, for example, even recently, that girl that we both know, Maria Hill, I think is her name, I showed you that crazy video she filmed in South Africa, that like the sky was like zipping open and there were like big beams going across the sky, and it looked like there was a tear literally in reality, and we were all on this like Freeman show. That Jim Carrey movie The Truman Show. Remember that movie?
Yes.
Where everyone was watching him, and he was in this like small universe, and he found the edge of it and like left. But it looked like that, and it was like live. And I was flipping out, thinking, if that's happening in South Africa, it's not. We're all dead. I mean, this is over. You know, this is the end of the world. And it was just like all CGI in the sky. So who's doing that? Why were they doing that? Were they practicing for something? You know, the next day everything looked back to normal. There wasn't a zipper in the sky. You know, I mean, it was just crazy. You know, but it was so well done. Why were they doing that? Who's doing this? Do they think nobody's watching, or they don't care if a few people, a few people are going to sound crazy, you know, while we're practicing this stuff? I don't know. I think it's out. I don't know. It had to be a hologram, you know?
Yeah, and so these things exist, and so here's part of the thing we're going to get into tonight. It gets a little bit more frightening than just seeing things, right? That maybe you can't differentiate from reality. They're actually talking about these plasma balls, these plasma, whatever they are, these imitations of life, whatever they happen to be. They're turning them into. They're allowing them to talk. They can speak. And so I'll get to that in a sec. That's the
my God.
It's the voice of God, they call it, a voice of God technology.
My God.
Exactly. So now imagine.
My God.
Like if you could literally fake a human voice through a plasma projection of sorts, you can fake anything. If it's convincing, you can fake anything. And this is why I'm saying we have to be extremely careful with what the media tells us, because they're clearly operating to cover up the what is it called? The MIC, what's it called? The industrial...
MILAB.
Whatever. The military-industrial complex. That's what I was looking for.
Military-industrial complex.
Yes,
right.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So they're
That's
looking...
outrageous.
They're covering it for them. They definitely are. So anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I mean, they could turn a whole country absolutely insane. You know, everyone would think they were going crazy. You know, if they saw some kind of plasma speaking like they were God. Hi, I'm God, you know. I mean, anything could be created with this kind of technology. It's incredible.
Exactly.
It's incredible.
Exactly.
But I would be scared to death. Truthfully, I would be so frightened because I'd see the Brooklyn Bridge literally on fire. I'm like, oh my God, isn't this on the news? And I check the news and I check Twitter. And I'm like, nobody's talking about this? Why isn't anyone talking about this? Oh, and I want to tell you a couple of other weird things when I was filming these things. I have like 150 videos on New York City battles. And you could see them bombing, like Jersey, and Jersey was sending bombs to New York. And the funny thing was that there would be an overlay of a vocal when I would play it back, and the screeching sounds of horrible metal that you didn't hear with your naked ear, but you heard it on the playback. So I think I picked up a frequency, and I picked up the frequency of two people, and it would always be in a different language. They would be talking like in some sort of weird code, like, oh, that'll be the end of that city, or they were talking really end of the world talk, you know, and like top secret. Oh, we're going to be meeting in Switzerland, and it would be either Portuguese or Italian or. Oh, hold on, I'll turn this off. I got to turn off the sound. Sorry, hold on. I don't even notice this anymore. That's
okay. That's okay. It's all good.
So deaf.
It's all good.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
I turned off my computer, but I didn't turn that off.
No problem. Go ahead.
You know, so there would be this overlay, but the battle sounds was so frightening. Like you could hear this metal against metal, like literally battle sounds. It was so mysterious. People thought I was crazy. You know, I didn't even talk about it, but I had to film it just to have proof that I wasn't crazy. You know. Oh, look, what is this? You know, you tell me what it is. One person was behind me, 100% was Wolfman Mike from a long time ago. He had a Monster Castle paranormal radio. I don't know if you know him.
I do not, no.
But he had a radio, he had a podcast, and he thought he was 100% behind me. He saw this stuff too, you know. And we used to go on live. I filmed them all through the Earth cams, you know, the live Earth cams. From all over the world. I filmed stuff in Turkey. I filmed stuff over San Francisco. It's not just New York, but I'm more curious about New York because I live here, you know. And actually, New York had the most interesting stuff in the skies.
Which,
going
which seems odd
at that time.
Of all places, right? That seems like not a good place to test these things, or maybe, I don't know. Like as we've seen this past year, I think people testing, let's say, gain of function things that may be bad for the Earth are not really off the table anymore, are they? It doesn't seem like it's so ridiculous. And
They're not. Nothing. Really.
Yeah, exactly.
That's for sure. For sure. Anything goes.
Yeah.
But I mean, the one night I saw a dinosaur, literally a huge dinosaur. It dwarfed Manhattan. It was bigger than Manhattan, like not a possible size of a dinosaur. I'm like, what am I looking at? And then there was an android that was fighting with laser beams. They were giants, gigantic things, fighting, with like lasers. And I'm like, where is this happening? This isn't happening. It can't be, but I have it on film. So, it must be some sort of holographic overlay on reality. That's what I named it. But I'm sure it has a legitimate name like Project Blue Book or whatever they're calling it. CERN or DARPA or whoever is doing this stuff.
Blue Beam. Yeah, if you can share that video.
What's the big plan? What's
What's
going to be the reveal? What's the magic that's going to happen?
That's the question. That's a very good question there. I have no idea. If you could share that video, that'd be amazing. Can you maybe drop that in the Discord or maybe email it to me at troubledmindsradio@gmail.com?
I'm gonna definitely. I'm gonna do a search for it. I'm gonna save the good ones for you. Okay. I've too many to go through, so I'm not gonna bore you with the channel. But I'll try to find the select ones like I've discussed, and you'll see, like, this stuff looks real. How do you know it's not real, But sometimes the funny thing is the planes, have you ever heard of someone talk about fake planes, like when they were doing chemtrailing, the fake planes? So does that ring a bell?
I have not seen that. No. But it wouldn't be hard
planes,
to do.
I've heard other people talk about fake planes.
Yeah, in this
and
context,
it looked like these planes, like with...
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you're up. Go ahead.
No, they would look like you'd see these planes start from the middle of the sky, and they would just appear with a chemtrail, There would be like a very shiny, small dot, way, way high up in the ionosphere, whatever. And they would, like, appear out of nowhere, and they would, like, take off in mid-sky. And they looked fake. They really didn't look real. Like, they didn't have, like, real windows, and they didn't really, it just didn't look, they didn't look real. I don't even know if they were real chemtrails, even, if those were fake, and who knows what the chemtrail story is. I don't even know,
Yeah, that's a whole other can of worms.
What's going on with chemtrails? What were they hiding?
Yeah, whole nother can of worms. Hey, Daryl, we're running out of time. We got to go. So final thoughts on this? If you have to make one guess, what do you think this is?
I don't know. I think it's some sort of plan. I think they have the technology. They're not sure what they're doing with it. I think it's us. I don't think it's from outer space, But, like, have you ever seen that fake city in China where everyone, like, it looks so vivid and real? Yeah. In fact, China has just, like, amazing, like, better than fireworks, what they do with animation in the sky. It's gorgeous. Like, you could look it up on YouTube. It looks so beautiful. It looks so real. But once you see that, anything is possible. Anything. It's so vivid and so realistic looking. And the whole sky, it's like a big sky entertainment show. And it's like much huger than fireworks. It makes fireworks look like firecrackers.
Yeah, I'm with you.
If they can do that, anything can happen. I don't know.
Exactly. We're going to make the case that all this stuff is possible. So we're going to keep on trucking with this. So go ahead.
I see, but I've been seeing military-style applications, and it sounds like a battle. So I think there's something happening, unless it's a battle in another dimension. I don't know. Maybe I caught a battle in a different dimension. Maybe there really are battles, and who knows? I don't know. But I was almost convinced that there was a battle, especially with the big booms, the big noises. I mean, in New York, during one year, it was so bad. I swore it was going to be, like, over. There was one night there was, like, 6 loud explosions that were, these, like, strange sounds that the people are hearing now everywhere, that was so loud and so disturbing, Like, what is that? Those strange sounds. I don't know if they're all connected. They might be. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it could be. I think it depends on where this information's coming from, who's kind of controlling these things. And again, it seems like we have a concerted effort by the media to make us believe things are real that may not be real. So I think, I don't know. I don't know who this may be, but yeah, crazy stuff. We got to go, Daryl. I appreciate the call. Please share those videos in the Discord. I look forward to seeing that stuff, okay?
Will do.
Thanks a lot. That's Daryl from New York.
You got it. Have a good night.
Thanks, you too. I appreciate the call. There you go. If you guys want to be on the show, it's as easy as that. Dial the phone number. Fantastic call, as always, from Daryl there. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And we're talking about plasma spoofing. We're talking about plasma in the sky or projected elsewhere that can become anything you want it to become. Daryl there says she saw some ridiculous things in New York City and could not believe they were real, but actually got video of these things, including describing like a giant dinosaur and things like this, right? And if this is what's going on with plasma spoofing, not just with Tic Tacs, right, which is my theory about the Tic Tacs, my running theory with this, because, again, like I said, if they were actually trying to do an honest disclosure effort, we would have more than just 3 of the same damn UFO. You understand what I'm saying to you? That is not what's going on here. I don't know why they didn't maybe vary it up, maybe do different types. Maybe they're trying to like smash the narrative with more data saying, look, they're all the same. I don't know. But it certainly seems to me that there are possibilities these things could be that really get not enough attention. And for all the media, all the wash of the media coming out talking about this UFO report as this came down, a couple weeks ago now, something like that, we're still back in the exact same boat we started in, which is what? The same place, meaning that, well, we can't rule out that they're from somewhere else, but we can definitely tell you they're not ours, they're not Russia's, and they're not China's. All right? That's what we can tell you, which we knew before that, except, well, the lie is they're probably ours, right? That's the lie. That's probably the lie here, is that they're spoofing these things and they were testing them on our pilots. That's my opinion. And some people that back up the military say the military would never do that and put our pilots at risk. I don't think that's the case at all. I think they've done things like this all the time throughout history and military training exercises. Have you ever heard the term somebody passed away in the military during a training exercise? Anybody ever heard that term? It happens all the time, doesn't it? It happens all the damn time. So if you're going to tell me training exercises cannot be dangerous, I would ask you to go look into the numbers, because I'm telling you, sure, they may not put like a $20 million plane at risk, but maybe that's the trust in their pilots there to not crash the thing and freak out. I don't know. Anyway, we're talking about UFOs tonight. We're talking about fake UFOs and what they may be. Meaning, I've got some theories. I've got some theories tonight, and we're talking about it, and that's what we're doing. If you want to be part of the show, this is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. We're taking your phone calls. Good stuff from Daryl to kick us off in the phone call department. If you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And join the Discord at troubledminds.org. Lots of smart people in there having a conversation 24 hours a day. So don't miss out. Troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link. And as we finish this up, go back to the top of the hour here. Thing is this. If these aren't UFOs and they're fakes, what the hell are they? That's what we're talking about tonight. And larger implications of what these things might be. If you like the conversation, don't go anywhere. More Troubled Minds after the break.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Good evening and welcome back to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and this is the show where we talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. You know what those things are? Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. This show is live. If you want to be part of the show at any point tonight, we're taking your phone calls. Give us a call at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And tonight we are talking about fake UFOs. That's right. Plasma projections in the sky and what this could be. I'm making the case that the disclosure project we're seeing in the media and from the government is false. False. Trixies. False. What do you guys think? We're streaming on Facebook, D Live, and YouTube, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM, and that's the conversation tonight. What about these fake UFOs? And is there a difference? I think I've said this quite a lot, but this is, again, a theory that I've had that goes back to about December of 2019. And I can say that because I have a show where I did this back in December 2019. But there's new information that's coming out, all right? New information coming out describing these actual lasers in the sky that create these plasma projections, okay? Now, that's what I'm talking about. Many people in the UFO field, they just forget this. They don't want to talk about this because they think that it's just unreasonable, right? Unreasonable to expect that the government might be fooling us with these things. And it seems strange to me because the government has been doing nothing but fool us about UFOs and lie to us about UFOs for over 70 years. So if you're going to be incredulous about the government lying to you, I don't know what universe you live in, to be perfectly honest. So here we go. Just to bring this back, right? So we have this so molecules. All right, let's read this. Quote, researchers working, this is from Forbes.com, written by an individual by the name of David Hambling. Quote, researchers working with high-power laser weapons discovered that they could create a glowing ball of fire in the sky by crossing the beams of two powerful infrared lasers. The beams were invisible to the naked eye, but they were where they intersected, their electric fields became so intense that they ripped apart molecules in the air, creating a plasma. By moving the laser beams around the sky, the researchers found they could shift the plasma ball back and forth at a very high speed. Mullins wrote back in the year 2000, right? Now, again, this is something that I'm talking about. Project Palladium goes back to the late 50s and early 60s. We were fooling Soviet and Cuban pilots with Project Palladium then to believe that they were seeing UFOs on radar. So if you're telling me since 1960, let's say, to now that this technology hasn't changed and transformed and become something else entirely, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you because clearly they wouldn't just leave it be, right? As radar develops and they get they outfit these gun camera with FLIR and all this other stuff, right? All these other sensors. They have these whole array of sensors that are going on in these military applications. And of course, as they add them, you have to try and be able to confuse and fool these different systems. So, of course, since then, it seems silly to even suggest that they wouldn't have worked on this and pressed it to the next level. But what is the next level? 60 years later, 61 years later now from 1960? What is the next level of this? And I think it's exactly what we're talking about tonight. These powerful infrared lasers that intersect in the sky, and where they hit, they actually become some sort of plasma ball of something. And once you can control what that ball looks like, it is no longer just a fireball in the sky, is it? It becomes something else entirely. So here we go. We got a phone call on deck. Let's take this call, and we'll keep on trucking. Let's see. Who is this? I'm not exactly sure who this is. You're on Trouble Minds with Mike. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Mike. It's Jennifer, calling from Missouri.
Hey, what's up, Jennifer from Missouri? How are you?
I'm doing good. I think that do I have an echo again?
No, you sound fantastic. I think it's just on your end. Yeah, you're good. Go right ahead.
Okay. So the thing with the plasma spoofing, now this is all new to me. I wasn't really sure what you meant, and I was like, well, I had to look it up. And what's really interesting, though, that caught my attention was the ball lightning bit. I've experienced ball lightning. Like, I've witnessed it firsthand, and I've even felt it. I had it actually, like,
accidentally had contact with it. So I know what it looks like. I know how it and it moves really strange too. And so, I mean, if that is what if they've used, watching up ball lightning too is basically is plasma. It's kind of the similar plasma that you find like with the sun or with lightning bolts, supposedly. But then also too, in the sky-wise, I think it's like a thin layer in the upper atmosphere is solid plasma. And I guess that it can reflect radio waves too, kind of similar to metal. And so there's a lot of strange things. And then you can consider, have you heard of red sprites? Which is basically like lightning in the upper atmosphere.
Yeah. Actually, yes. I've seen videos of that stuff.
Yeah, which would also be some type of, I never even heard of it till a couple of years ago. But I guess you can also they could use this as some kind of psychokinetic force, is what I think too, which is why when some of these jets have come in contact, they've lost, contact with those jets. There have been crashes and things like that, and also even disappearing. But it's really weird because electromagnetic waves are used. People think that poltergeists are made of electromagnetic waves. So, because I guess the momentum of electromagnetic waves can be used to move objects, kind of like you see with psychokinetic people, if that's something you believe in, and also poltergeists. So, what if they're using this somehow as like if you said they have the voice of God technology? I've heard of that before. And like a voice-to-brain technology where they can kind of beam it into your head where you're hearing a voice even. But if you were to combine the two, you have literally like a hand of God type thing going on. I mean, if they can move stuff out of the sky without even having to put a person up there or even an object, but literally just utilizing the natural plasma in the atmosphere and concentrating it and then using it as, weapons. I know that they're doing that already, it says. But, yeah, I think it's really bizarre. And then the other thing is, too, with some of these, if there were UFOs, like real UFOs that we weren't creating out of plasma or something as a type of weapon of our own, or maybe for some other nefarious purpose, I'm not even sure what to imagine yet of what they could be trying to do. But anyway, that's what it kind of, maybe they're trying to be able to move and manipulate things from a distance, kind of like you can see with like Firestarter, the movie Firestarter with psychokinetic energy. But using it as a weapon outside themselves, or even like, I don't think for warfare, maybe even as a way of fighting real UFOs. I mean, who knows? The possibilities are endless.
Yeah, so I've heard the voice of God. We'll get to that in a little bit, but I've heard of it used in terms of maybe the sort of, very much like a Project Bluebeam sort of situation. Well, not just marketing, like we've seen some of that stuff in the sky at Disneyland and some other places. But like if it can speak, right? If we're talking about this plasma projection that looks realistic and can actually speak, I've heard of them maybe speculating, and this is from these, again, these really, really deep fringe websites. So it's really difficult to tell if people are just making crap up or if this is maybe a real thing. But the technology definitely exists and has been discussed. But they were actually talking about maybe putting up, for instance, like a religious figure up in the Middle East in the sky, telling people to do a particular thing, right? As more of evacuate the area type of situation, like the end of the world is coming, everybody should go to this cave sort of situation, right? And then everybody just does what they're told because it looks like God in the sky or something to this effect, right? Like these are the types of things you can really do to people. And not just that, right? Like if you're talking clearly with all the big data demographics we have, you could find the exact spot to put that in the sky to get the most traction. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a scary world we live in, but that right there in particular is one of the things I've heard specifically with the voice of God and this technology, which we'll get to in just a sec. But I don't know. I don't know where it's headed. I don't know who's doing this or if this is a real thing, even if it's a real thing, right? I would consider yes, because the technology seems like we should have it at this point. But have we seen it? Daryl says she saw some out there in New York. So if this is happening out in the wild, then who the heck knows? Have you ever seen anything bizarre in the sky like that you thought might be some sort of projection of sorts?
No. But, I mean, with the idea of this creating a religious figure and projecting it into the sky in kind of an in-world scenario, it makes perfect sense that could be done, or at least with the Project Bluebeam thing, because the world's been hyped up for this for a long time. I mean, if you look at all the different religious sects, like Jehovah's Witness, they think this is going to happen. they think there's going to be a small group of people left behind. You know, it's been preached forever, Armageddon and the whole thing. So if you were to bring this in, if a certain group, an unspoken group, some high, elite group did actually want to take the world and have it just themselves as their own paradise or something, this would definitely be a good way to do that, because people would be, everyone would just be like, oh my God, it's, God's returned, or Jesus has come back, or Muhammad, or whatever. And yeah, if you could present plasma in a certain shape, or even as a giant ball of light that's talking to you and that also can somehow affect you, because as this stuff touches you, you can feel it. So there's all kinds. It's amazing. If the gamma rays are too high, it says that it'll just move right through the object, but it can move people on, like psychokinetic energy, like throw a person across the room type thing. So
right,
it would be crazy if they actually ever did anything like that. But at least we'd have a heads up.
Right, but they're testing it.
If we ever do see something,
they're testing it. So this is the thing, and this is why I talk about this stuff, is because we're living in a world, like I say, it's a post-truth world. But I think more and more we should not be so willing easily to believe what we see with our eyes. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying to throw reality away entirely, but I am saying that if Jesus shows up to you on a street corner, look twice, please. Just look twice. You know what I'm saying? Like don't be easily fooled by this stuff, because you never know. You never know what's going on, and it's possible now. These things are very possible.
Yeah. Well, like literally trying to recreate a Ragnarok, end of world scenario, Armageddon, Jesus return, leaving nothing in the. People thinking they're going somewhere when they're really just being wiped out. It'd be an amazing way to just wipe out. It's kind of a dark, but it'd be like a crazy way to just wipe out a massive amount of people and leave behind just a few in a new world, a paradise type. It's just crazy if you go really far with it. But yeah, it's definitely incredibly fringe, but I don't know. It could be.
This stuff exists.
Something like that. Because I don't know why else they'd want to even have something like this, unless they were just trying to use it as a weapon against some other type of, another type of technology that they can't understand, like real UFOs, or if they're using it probably against the people as a massive, plan of somehow creating a paradise for themselves, just for themselves. So that is possible for sure.
Yeah, the old breakaway civilization. There are crazy people out there. Yeah, hell yeah, there are crazy people out there, and some very, very rich crazy people. That's for sure.
Very, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on this as it develops. But as we get new information that comes out, I want to point it out from time to time, because, like I said, this isn't the first time I've talked about it. But let's see. Let's not be too eager to believe what our eyes or our radar or our FLIR cameras may see, if you know what I'm talking about here. We'll get back to the UFOs in a sec. But anything else while we got you on the phone tonight?
No, just that. There is obviously real ball lightning stuff that people have seen. What they think were some type of beings, but once again, see, when you start talking about this kind of stuff, there's just no telling, I know the thing I experienced ball lightning, and it was crazy. And the way it moved and everything it went right through pane glass window. It went through my chest. Like I literally was hit with it and felt it. And the way it moved, it was, real slow, and then it sped up of its own. So it's really strange, and it went in an opposite direction of what you would expect. So I think I don't know. So there is that, but I don't think it's ball of lightning up there with I don't know. Yeah, who knows? It's hard to say. But this whole thing but they are definitely using this plasma technology of their own, harnessing it for some kind of purpose, because they have all kinds of documentation of it.
Exactly.
And also like energy gun, lightning plasma guns.
Exactly.
Stuff. So they're doing all kinds of stuff.
It exists out there.
It is scary.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well,
I appreciate the call.
As always, Mix. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Great show. Talk to you later.
Thank you. Great call. That's Jennifer from Missouri. Fantastic stuff as always. Now, this is the thing, right? We're talking about this weird stuff in the sky. Now I've mentioned the voice of God. Let's look at this. Right? Now, this is from, I got an archive here. This is from a website called, what is this? Defense1.com, right? Defense1.com. Now, what does that sound like to you? It sounds like a military website, does it not? Check this out. Now, the headline is this: the U.S. military is making lasers create voices out of thin air. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Let's read some of this. Let's see. Within 3 years, the Pentagon's non-lethal weapons lab hopes to have a direct energy weapon that can produce an effect like a haunted walkie-talkie or the biblical burning bush, right? The U.S. military's Joint Non-Lethal Weapons Program, or JNLWD, is inching closer to a weapon that alters atoms to literally create words from thin air. It's called the laser-induced plasma effect, and fingers crossed, they hope to be able to say intelligible words within the next 3 years. Oh, by the way, this article was written in March of 2018. All right? This continues. The weapon is composed of two parts. First, a femtosecond laser, where have we heard that before, which shoots a burst of focused light for 10 to 15 seconds, just long enough to rip the electrons from air molecules and create a ball of plasma. Sometimes called the fourth state of matter, plasma is a field of electrified gas highly responsive to electromagnetic effects. The scientists then hit the plasma field with a second nano laser tuned to an extremely narrow range of wavelengths. They use that to manipulate the plasma field in a way that can produce light and noise. Get the interaction precise enough, and you can get something that sounds like a haunted walkie-talkie. Quote, "We're this close to getting it to speak to us. I need 3 or 4 more kilohertz," says David Law, who runs JNLWD's technology division. Ultimately, he wants a single system that can produce multiple effects: noise, light, even heat, to replace a wide variety of non-lethal weapons, and the military has been testing these. And they have an exclusive video here, and I think the video's been taken down. I think that the craziest part about this is I keep searching for these plasma effects, and in many cases, they've been removed from YouTube. And oddly enough, right? This is what I'm saying, right? When we have like this media barrage of UFOs, and they show you pictures of these things and say, look, the FLIR cameras picked them up. We got them on radar signature. We got this, we got that, the other thing. We got eyewitness testimony. Once again, do you actually believe, after reading that, that's the voice of God technology, right? After hearing that information, would it surprise you at all that we have a technology that can actually fool the naked eye, a radar signature, and infrared? Remember, Lou Elizondo, check it out. I'm not lying. He said it in Unidentified. He said, we don't have systems that can fool multiple things, right? The spoofing we do is done for one thing at a time. We fool radar, or we fool infrared, or we fool the naked eye, whatever. We can't fool multiple systems at the same time, this man says. However, what is with this? This voice of God, plasma projection, voices, right? You tell me. So the thing is that, and this, and all the rest of this, is kind of my point with all of these things, and why I'm very suspicious about some of the disclosure efforts that are happening, the official disclosure efforts, the Tom DeLonge stuff. By the way, if you listen to what Tom DeLonge says, he is all over the damn place. He can't make up his mind about anything. First, it's like the aliens are here. Next, they're not. Next, we're knocking down these interdimensional aliens out of the sky with nuclear weapons. We've got crash retrieval, then we don't. We've got terahertz that we can blast this actual metamaterial that's supposed to lose mass and float. It doesn't have any proof of that. I mean, come on, right? Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff coming out of these that seem like it seems closer and closer to like this is a cartoon disclosure. Like these individuals are becoming caricatures of themselves, right? That's what it seems like to me. And it's like, okay, well, let's just get to the Scooby-Doo reveal and just pull the mask off of whoever the UFO is, right? And of course, it's going to be Uncle Sam, right? It's going to be Uncle Sam. It just makes more sense to me that it's. And again, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the aliens aren't here. I'm not saying UFOs don't exist, real UFOs. Clearly, I think they do. I just think that the information we're receiving is basically tied into a knot to give us just a very thin version of UFO reality. And, of course, they want to give us the version they control, which would be, well, this plasma stuff. So anyway, the voice of God, right? That's what this is called. So let's go back to this original article real quick. And as we come to the bottom of the hour here, man, time flies when you're having fun. All right. So here's the thing, right? So again, remember femtosecond laser applications coming from a Chinese paper back in 2010, right? Here we go. One of the most interesting stories in this field was the rumor which New Scientist journalist Justin Mullins heard about, a bizarre new weapon supposedly being developed in the New Mexico desert back in the 1980s. It was called the Voice of God. Here's the quote. Researchers working with high-power laser weapons discovered that they could create a glowing ball of fire in the sky by crossing the beams of two powerful infrared lasers. The beams were invisible to the naked eye, but where they intersected, the electric field became so intense they ripped apart molecules in the air, creating a plasma. I've read this before, but I want to make sure everybody understands exactly where I'm heading with this. By moving the laser beams around the sky, the researchers found they could shift the plasma ball back and forth at a very high speed. All right. So what makes it stranger is that by pulsing the lasers, they could modulate the crackling sound produced by the plasma to carry coherent speech. In effect, a talking fireball. The idea was that the device would be used for psychological operations with a seemingly divine voice commanding opponents to flee or surrender. Mullins never succeeded in finding out whether there was any truth behind the rumored experiments. Talking to various scientists, he concluded that the voice of God would be possible in the lab, but very difficult to produce in the sky. All right, so there it is. There it is. What's up, Mark? Is the government that smart or controlled to pull it off? Hell yes, they are. You kidding me? Would you basically say this? So I hear the criticism. The government is a bumbling mess, right? But would you put it against a department like DARPA, right? Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, I believe is what it stands for, DARPA. They're supposedly between 40 and 60 years ahead of the regular world technology-wise. Would you put it against DARPA to be able to pull off something like this? I mean, we're talking about testing this in the 1980s for crying out loud. We're talking about Project Palladium spoofing actual Soviet and Cuban jets to believe they saw UFOs on their radar back in the 60s. So if this was happening then, and we're talking about this stuff, what in the hell, right? I would not put it past them. I think they can do this stuff, and I think they are doing this stuff. And I think that's part of what we're talking about tonight. So, as usual, right, I usually don't get all fired up and wave my arms and soapbox a little bit. But it does piss me off, to be perfectly honest, that the media isn't covering all the aspects of UFOs. And this is one of them. If we aren't talking about the possibility of a plasma ball in the sky that can be the voice of God in a burning bush, do you think they could really shrug and fake a UFO? Hell yes, they could. Hell yes, they could. That's what I'm talking about tonight. We're talking about fake UFOs. We're talking about government disclosure that may not be disclosure at all, and how this affects you. Yeah, if you enjoy the conversation, this is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More after the break. All right, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I am your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Facebook, D-Live, and YouTube. We are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM, and we are taking your phone calls. If you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Troubledminds.org is the official website. You can click the Discord link and join us there and also be on the show. Also, chat goes on there 24 hours a day. Smart people having intelligent conversations about all kinds of weird stuff. If you haven't joined the Discord, please do. Troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link. Let's get going. Let's talk about fake UFOs. So as you know, if you followed me for any amount of time, I am high on this idea, meaning that I think this is likely. I think that taking two IR lasers, infrared lasers, and crossing them to tear apart the molecules and create a ball of plasma is likely sort of what we're seeing with this Tic Tac effect, meaning the disclosure effort that's coming through. And like I said, isn't it suspicious, right? Not just in the fact that we get this Ryan Graves guy, who's a fighter pilot that was on the eastern seaboard in the Atlantic. He was saying that he saw a UFO every single day for a couple years, right? So if that's the case, and the UFO report, the UAP report that just came out, only had 140 incidents since 2004, the math doesn't add up, right? So what's going on? I think they're limiting what they're telling us about these things intentionally, right? They're holding data back intentionally and trying to give us this half-ass effort, so to speak, of, oh, well, by the way, here's some data, here's some figures, right? Notice we didn't get any new video, we didn't get any radar signature stuff, we didn't get any kind of anything other than some crappy report where they're like, well, we don't know. Yeah. Okay. All right. Fine. And it's gonna produce some FOIA work. I know John Greenwald Jr. is already on the case there. But anyway, let's go. Let's continue with this. And we're talking about fake UFOs tonight. And if you want to be part of the show, you know what to do. TroubledMinds.org. Phone number's on top. We've got a call. Let's go to. I'm not sure who this is. You're on Troubled Minds with Mike. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Mike. It's Derek from Mass.
Derek, what's up, man? You do you have like 5 phone numbers? I can never track you down.
Yeah, this is my cell phone because my cell doesn't work at home.
Okay,
I'm in this weird prison where I only have service when I'm inside the supermarket.
Okay,
and then when I'm home and I'm free to call on the shows, I'm like in a magnetic anomaly and I have 0 service at all.
Gotcha. So
sorry about that, brother.
You are a vortex. I got it. Okay, just making sure. I just want to be able to say, Derek from Massachusetts, you're on Troubled Minds, and I can't because your phone number always changes, so I don't know it's you. Anyway, go right ahead.
Sorry, brother.
It's cool. What do you think about this stuff?
Great show. Really cool topic. Nick Redfern wrote a book, kind of like related to this a little bit, like this year or last year or whatever. He was like touring it this year, but he was talking about Rendlesham Forest. If you hear any background music, I'm in the store and I can't really control it, and it seems kind of loud right now.
You're good, actually. You're good.
Yeah. So Nick Redfern. All right. Nick Redfern, he believes, I guess, or he like got some sources together. Apparently, at Rendlesham in England, which is like their Roswell, which is arguably like maybe in the top 3 biggest UFO incidents of all time, pretty much. He believes that was a case of like MK Ultra, and I'll post a link as soon as I get out of the phone here. But the military, like Rendlesham, has like a military base that's half American and half English at the time. So he believes that it was a giant MK Ultra experiment, which was confirmed taking place in Porton Down, in England, which is like very, very, very close to Rendlesham. I'll post again. It's a confirmed LSD dosing the military type thing. So he believes that it was that combined with the weaponization of ball lightning. Let me read that real quick. 1 second. This is from his book. The answer to what really happened at Rendlesham Forest may well be in its origins in a secret program that would focus on what is called ball lightning. As its name suggests, it is a very rare form of lightning that manifests in the form of a brightly lit globe, and they can retain a shape, not just for seconds, but for minutes. The U.S. government started to investigate ball lightning in the latter part of the 1940s. The primary reason was to see if it could be weaponized. The program fell under the auspices of Project Grudge, which was one of the American Air Force's earliest UFO study programs. So that's the 80s, which was the exact same time you're talking about as far as like when they could be testing this stuff out and stuff. So I don't know. Like whenever I hear some kind of like when they're messing with our minds and they're messing with like what we see as a reality, like that's what MK Ultra is. Like it gets very like roped in with the like Stranger Things aspect of it, but one of the most important parts is the distortion of reality to the person who's being experimented on. You cannot trust what's going on, and it also like has this weird entity contact type aspect to it. Like when you're in that state, like seeing what you believe is like what is a fake UFO or a fake entity, it somehow actually like calls on these real ultra-terrestrials or whatever. And I'll give Chris Knowles the credit for the term MK ultra-terrestrial, but that sounds like what you're talking about with these plasma beings. It's like they literally said the word ultra multiple times. And this is going to get really weird, but like what you were just talking about as far as like removing electrons from a plasma particle or plasma molecule, that sounds like what the atom bomb, like what they're doing with like nuclear warfare, like with the atom bomb, is they're separating atoms, splitting atoms, taking electrons off of atoms, and it causes this like energy surge, which in the occult world, many people believe it opens portals and calls things in. You know what I mean? So are they doing some type of weird mini atomic bomb detonations in the upper atmosphere within this small band of electromagnetic frequency, like to create these plasma like vessels to house these entities and give them literal voices? They can start talking to us now and stuff. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. The possibilities are.
Yeah.
Even still, just like a blue beam type scenario of just like faking something in the sky is in and of itself like an MK Ultra type thing. Mass psychological testing, basically. And they're doing that with ball lightning, and like that's tied to Rendlesham. So that's a combination of drugs tested on the military, confirmed, like 10 miles away from Rendlesham, and experimentations with ball lightning at the same time, like makes them believe that they're seeing entities. And I believe like at Rendlesham, they fixed the radar too at the time. So that ties into that too.
Yeah, interesting. I'd never heard of it in terms of Rendlesham Forest. And notably, there's actually somebody that was there in I believe it was 1980 in Rendlesham that was stationed at one of those places. I just saw her on Twitter. She's starting to do interviews. So maybe at some point we can get her on and talk about that. Yeah, pretty cool stuff, like an actual eyewitness that was there when it happened. But so I don't know.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. But in terms of like radar spoofing and this plasma in the sky, I think UFOs are just the beginning. Like, think of it this way, right? If like you're describing, if they can change our reality, meaning they can show us whatever the hell they want us to see whenever they want us to see it, UFOs is literally the first step to who knows what's next. And so like maybe like you're suggesting, maybe portal magic, you've said this before, some other things like this. Well, they could make you see a portal.
Yeah, that's right?
They can make you see one even if it's not there. I mean, there's a ton of weird stuff going on with this.
For sure.
Go ahead.
That's basically what that's been my sorry, there's like a 1 second delay. But that's been my my fingers crossed apocalypse, like during this whole pandemic, is that they're gonna do some kind of to tie into like Jennifer and Daryl's call, like with the blue, like I think I mentioned before, but the ending of Watchmen, which is like eerily synchronistic, is that the smartest man in the world, like the tippity top of the elites during the Cold War, believes that the world would be better off if they think interdimensional aliens exist. So he fakes a portal opening over New York City, which is where Daryl said this thing's going on. A giant portal opens and drops this interdimensional giant squid, like, and blows up a couple of skyscrapers in New York City and kills 3 million people. and then the people who weren't affected, like the actual crash, there was this loud tone or frequency that like radiated all throughout New York City, and people's heads exploded if they were in range of it. So that's like the tone and the giant kaiju weirdness. So all it would take is like directed energy weapons blowing up a building, making people see some giant squid falling down as this big Avenger-style portal opens in the middle of the sky. And that's aerial phenomena. That's not a flying object. So that explains the name change.
Exactly. That's what I said back in 2019 when I was discussing this the first time. I was like, notice they changed the name from unidentified flying object to unidentified aerial phenomena, meaning that they aren't physical objects anymore. Yeah. Go ahead. You're run with it, sir.
Yeah. No, that's exactly right. I'm like at work, so I'm kind of rambling and losing my train of thought. But
that's okay.
Really great stuff and really great callers. I had one more thing. That's fine. If I remember it all, I'll text you back. But really great stuff, Mike. Awesome show as usual.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for the call. Derek from Massachusetts. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great night. There you go. Good stuff. That's the Night Stalker. If you guys, again, smart people, look at all the smart people calling to this show. If you want to be part of that and part of conversations that go on with these folks all the time, join the Discords. And you'll see there's a lot of good people in there sharing information. Like I said, the only rule I have is with the Discord, and just get along with people. Don't get too hung up on telling people they're wrong. Just listen to what they think and tell them what you think, and that's the way conversation's supposed to happen. We're not trying to tell everybody they're wrong here. We're just trying to throw ideas out and get to the bottom of whatever's really going on. So tonight we're talking about fake UFOs. We're talking about radar spoofing that may have become plasma in the sky that may have turned into these Tic Tacs and turned into this, what would you call it? This actual disclosure effort. So I don't know. I don't have the answers here. I have some theories. I have some hunches, and I don't have any inside sources. I'm going off information I find in the media. And notably, the thing that I like the most about the theory is that the media doesn't touch it, right? And I think that says a lot about if you're on the right track. If the media is not touching it, you're probably kind of closer than they are, because they're spinning a yarn, right? They're making a tale to make us believe some other BS that may or may not be true. So there you go. If you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And let's go to Axel on Discord. I met Axel on Twitter. What's up, Axel? You're on Troubled Minds with Mike. How are you, my friend?
Hey, Mike. How's it going?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm all right. Sorry if you hear a little bit of traffic noise.
That's okay. That's okay.
Well,
go right ahead. What do you think about this radar spoofing stuff?
Oh, I mean, it sounds about right to me. I mean, I think I was always sort of on the it's probably something we're doing kind of side of things. And, this makes sense. It explains some of the features of the UFOs. They were saying they don't have obvious lift surfaces. They don't move with the wind, and they can move really fast. But, of course, they're not really moving at all any more than like an image on your TV screen is moving around. Which
can go at the speed of light, right?
Yeah.
I mean, or basically, right? Like it can go as fast as you want to make it go. So when you're talking about, breaking the sound barrier and sonic booms, like we were talking about last night a little bit, it means nothing, because this is not a physical object. It's a aerial phenomena, which is exactly what they're calling them now. Which synchronicity? I think not.
Well, yeah, it's a projection. So you're just move where you're sending the projection to. Move where your emitters are shooting the laser beams or whatever.
Exactly. So and again, right? So this has been said to exist for a very long time. If you go back, like I said, Project Palladium. Let's go to 1960, and they were doing this to Soviet and Cuban aircraft. And I've got an article on that. I'll pull it up and I'll link it real quick so you guys don't see that I'm fibbing here. But, these, like, it literally, if they were doing it then, what the hell are they doing now? It's got to be next level, right? It's got to be insane stuff.
Well, I mean, ball lightning is a real phenomenon, but it's very rare. But, if you figured out a way to do it artificially, which I guess is probably possible, then, maybe all these little glowing orb UFOs, or in the United States at least, have always been these sort of projects. I mean, my guess is that's why they all happen over military bases or near them, is because, you have a lot less power constraints if you've got some sort of ground-based installation to try and project these things with.
Exactly. So notably, in the UAP report that just came out, they said they had a collection bias, in that they were seeing most of these things around military bases and military training exercises. Is that a collection bias, or is that, well, this is where we can project them from the base, right? That type of thing.
This is where they live, so to speak.
Right, exactly. The home of the UFOs. Yeah, it kind of doesn't make sense. What about like the larger implications? Did you hear the voice of God stuff and some of that?
Oh, I don't. No, I don't think so. Can you give me a 10-second version of it?
Yeah, so they're saying that not only are they able to create these plasma apparitions at will and in different shapes, however they want them to look, they're also able to make them make sounds. And so they said that 3 years ago, they were about 3 years away in 2018 of making these things have a human voice. So, the burning bush, my man, the burning bush, and some really scary implications for different parts of the world.
It'd have to be some different technology, but it's not like sound projection technology is some poorly understood thing. So, I mean, I'm perfectly willing to believe they can do it. I guess I don't know how useful that would be, but I mean, it probably is going to sound like someone's talking to you from a speaker or whatever. But I guess what I wanted to say is that, like, you sort of see this kind of thing a lot. I sort of call them screen stories, kind of like screen memories, where you have a more salacious claim. Maybe these are aliens covering up a more limited claim oh, this is just our next generation missile spoofing idea.
Yeah, well, exactly. And so it's and then the media pivots with everything they're told, which would mean that all these operatives are just fibbing. They're fibbing on behalf of the military and trying to get everybody to believe the little green men are here. And again, they're showing us a very thin slice of the data to say, oh, by the way, here's the evidence. And there's supposed to be an unbelievable amount of evidence, and we haven't seen hardly any of it. It's suspicious. There's some plot holes. There's definitely some plot holes in this.
I mean, that's always been one of the rumors about alien abduction stuff, is that it's a cover for government experimentation with like implants and stuff like that. This will be quick, but have you ever heard about the Betty and Barney Hill case?
Yes, definitely. Talked about it several times.
Right. So the claim, so she gets abducted and they stick a needle to extract amniotic fluid from her. And, she talks about this. And the abduction's in 1961. So the procedure to do that was invented in 1957, I think. But it wasn't presented to the medical community in general until the late 60s. So it was like at the very cutting edge of what you could do. And of course, when we developed ultrasound. And it really would be weird if the aliens are like, okay, we know about a procedure that's been invented, but is very advanced right now. And then in 20 years, you guys are going to get rid of it because you don't need it anymore. But that's just where we are technologically, right? Like, it really does seem like that's an example of that had to be us doing it.
Yeah, well, it does seem like a plausible explanation, right? Is that if you can experiment on people and then say it was the aliens, well, you gotta get out of jail free card forever, don't you? And then not only that, then if you can actually push that narrative, it becomes something else entirely. 10 get out of jail free cards.
Well, and it makes the victim sound ridiculous and difficult to believe, and it's a standard thing. But I think that this comes up in a, not to say every single thing is an op or disinfo, but I think this does come up a lot in, we've talked about before, QAnon is a cover for Epstein, that kind of stuff. So yeah, plasma drones UFOs are a cover for plasma drones because UFOs are sexier, and fundamentally that conversation, assuming the military is like, none of these things are UFOs, that conversation can't go anywhere. If you know what I mean, because if there aren't any, then any attempt to talk about them is wasting your time. Not saying that's true, but that would be maybe what their perspective is.
Yeah, well, and then even so, if the, let's say UFOs and little green men are here, doing something like this just washes all of that out in a bunch of the BS they want us to be talking about anyway. So it's like again, I believe their UFOs are real. It's just we're not being told the specific ones they don't know about. We're being told the ones they do know. And I think it's this plasma stuff. And again, I take a bunch of heat for this because people are like, nah, the UFOs, right? And like, they get all mad about it. But I'm telling you, like, don't trust the government. And this reeks of a huge op, just kind of perpetrating on the American people and the people of the world, which kind of sucks. What can you do?
I think we all should have gotten suspicious when all the people telling us about them had like worked for the military for 20 years.
Yeah, right. I think there's something to that. And again, like I said, I don't like calling people liars like that, but don't forget they could be directly given misleading information to and be kind of an unwitting liar. You know what I'm saying? So that exists too. It's not like, well, they're all liars. I don't think that right. Like people are out there just trying to be dishonest to us. I think that the information that they're spreading may have been manipulated with before they got it, and I think that's probably what we're looking at in many cases, not all cases, but many cases.
Yeah, I don't want to be saying about that any of them either. I don't know any of the actors well enough to really have a good idea of if they think they're telling the truth or even if they are telling the truth. But no, I think this is a pretty plausible explanation. I know I said this when I called in months ago, but it always was suspicious to me that it does seem that if you're seeing a bunch of UFOs over American military bases, the most obvious explanation is that they're American military things.
Right. But it's called a collection bias instead.
Yes.
Yes, of course. We only see them around military bases and during military ops. Weird, don't you think? Totally weird. We're out of time, my friend. We're out of time. So maybe
that's right.
A minute left. You're good. About a minute. Go ahead.
Okay, I just say if I was going to give them a little bit of credit, I mean, it'd be true in the sense that this is a military program, so they're collecting reports from military people. But I think it's just that it's mostly, I mean, other people see these orbs and stuff too, but the military probably, those reports probably aren't going to the Department of Defense anymore. Thanks, Mike, for having me on. I will talk to you later.
Pleasure is mine, sir. Thanks for calling. We'll talk to you soon. That's Axel Steele. I met him on Twitter. You can follow him on Twitter at Axel Steele, just like it sounds, AXLESTEELE. And he's a good dude. He's gonna be doing our Dungeons and Dragons game come Sunday as well. So if you guys are into role playing games, he's the dungeon master, and we're looking for another volunteer maybe who wants to do some role playing games with us. Anyway, so great call there, Axel. I appreciate it, and I think this is where we're at, right? At the end of this, as we kind of boil it down, Project Palladium is this real fast. I'm going to link this up, and you guys can see it on this screen here. Now, this is crazy. This is crazy. Think about this. This is Project Palladium was a CIA NSA combined project designed to collect military intelligence data from Soviet aircraft, naval vessels, radar, and missile technology. The technology involved allowed the CIA to create ghost aircraft that the Soviets would pick up on their radar. The electronic trickery could create phantom objects of any shape or size flying at any speed or altitude. Does that sound familiar to you? Sound familiar to anybody? Yeah, right? The NSA, meanwhile, were responsible for monitoring the way in which Soviets received and reacted with these spoof signals. Palladium was intended for use in conjunction with the Oxcart, the designated replacement for the U-2, and the forerunner to the SR-71 Blackbird. Right here. It's all right here. And this is what I'm saying. So I'm not describing what we're seeing today as Project Palladium. All right? Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that 60 years later, after Project Palladium, there's got to be next level stuff, and that is what I'm describing here. So as we finish this up, I don't know. I think our reality is still as wishy-washy as ever, and the post-truth world is what it is. So yeah, there we go. As we finish this up, what time is it? I think we're out of time. Out of time. All right, here's the deal. Going to smash some outro music because hell yeah, why not? This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. If you love these type of conversations, we do it all. We talk about the paranormal. We talk about propaganda. We talk about aliens. We talk about plasma spoofing radar. All of this stuff, if you love it, please spread the word. We go Monday through Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific on Fringe, D-Live, YouTube, and Facebook, which means we'll be back tomorrow for more. If you're listening to us on the Fringe FM, stay tuned for Joe Rook Lighting the Void. If you're listening to us on Facebook, D-Live, YouTube, or the podcast feed, stay tuned for a third hour of Troubled Minds. And at the end, be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our Troubled Minds to yours, have a great night. Is that 2 minutes? I don't keep a timer. We'll call it close enough. What do you say? All right, let's do it. Let's get back to this. Now this is, again, right, this is one of the things that has got me fired up and passionate about this disclosure effort, right? This new Tom DeLonge and this whole bit. So if you find me triggered about some of this stuff, right, and you wonder, wow, why is Michael Strange getting all amped up about this? I think it's because that the coverage has been not complete by the media. I think it's been it's been babied, right? It's been the information. They haven't been allowed to really have interviews when they first started with the whole Tom DeLonge bit, the To the Stars Academy, this disclosure project. He made a ton of claims about terahertz technology, being able to blast these metamaterials with terahertz, so they lose mass and then they float, right? And so clearly, if they have the metamaterial, which they did, they bought from Linda Moulton Howe for $30,000, by the way, they did. They had this metamaterial that supposedly came from the Roswell crash, and somehow they weren't able to replicate. I mean, look, if I was able to say, look, if I'm going to blast terahertz, whatever, radiation or whatever the hell it is onto this thing and make it float, you think that's not going up on YouTube tomorrow? I'm going to be like, dude, I created the first hoverboard. Are you shitting me? Come on. Now, they didn't do any of that, right? Then they got this metamaterial, and they had this partnership with the Army, the CRADA, they called it, CRADA. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of shit here that just doesn't make sense. It does not add up. Plot holes on top of plot holes, and it seems like the narrative has been babied. The narrative has been kind of slow-rolled. I don't think because it's too fast that we're going to be incredulous, right? I mean, we talk about the possible existence of extraterrestrials, for crying out loud, right? We talk about possibly the archons ruling the world type shit, right? Like, I don't think we're in any danger of us freaking out, right? Like literally just losing our shit if we find out UFOs are flying around the sky. Go out and look up. You know, I've seen some. You've probably seen some. That's probably why you're here. So I don't know, like, this is the type of stuff that really kind of irritates me. And this is why I get fired up and why I've been so passionate about this, is because it seems to me like we're being lied to again. And that I don't like. I don't like it. I don't like taxing me excessively and then using those funds to lie back at me. I don't like it. Even if it's for my own good, you think. I don't like it. Anyway, I digress. And the second I get onto taxes, my cheeks start to get red. It's all bad. What's up, guys? All right. So we're still taking your calls. Like I said, I got some more information to get through, but I'm not going to struggle all the way through a third hour without you. You want to be part of the show? 702-957-1037. That's the official phone number. The official website is troubledminds.org, and click the Discord link, get in here, and you can be on the show with Discord. That last call, Axel, actually was on the show with Discord, so easy as that. You just jump in the caller queue once you join, and we'll put you on the show. And Discord is a much better technology, by the way, than old school telephones, and good stuff. Good stuff. What's up? We got, let's continue, shall we? So this voice of God stuff. Now remember, so we're talking about these plasma balls, right? These plasma spoofing technology and the rest of this. I got tons of links here. But again, back to Project Palladium, right? And don't get me wrong, I understand Project Palladium was from 1960s, all right? Late 50s, early 60s. It's not the same technology anymore. But just like Project Blue Book is not ATIP, Palladium is not ever whatever the hell is going on now, whatever they're calling it, you see? Two very different things. And so it is the same, like in the same vein of government technology from one end to the next, but it's definitely not the same. They change the names of these programs for a number of reasons, specifically because they can't, right, they're trying to dodge FOIAs and all the rest of this crap. So just FYI, that's what's going on. But just real quick. Again, Project Palladium was a CIA-NSA combined project designed to collect military intelligence data from Soviet aircraft, naval vessels, radar, and missile technology. The technology involved allowed CIA to create the ghost aircraft that the Soviets would pick up on their radar. This electronic trickery could include phantom objects or any shape or size, flying at any speed or altitude. The NSA, meanwhile, were responsible for monitoring the way in which the Soviets received and reacted to these spoof signals. Palladium was intended for use in conjunction with the Oxcart, which of course became the SR-71 Blackbird. Palladium would emit the false signals to confuse enemy radar, whilst stealth technology would reduce the Oxcart's radar signature to a small blip, the end result being a very confused enemy during spy plane missions. All right, and that's just clearly, if you can fool enemy radars, clearly that's just one example. I mean, there's a ton of different military uses you could actually use with this stuff. So when you see me, and I'm very, very, very animated about this disclosure stuff you see on TV about Lou Elizondo, like I said, I don't like calling them liars, but I'm not convinced they're telling us the full truth. And sometimes it's because I think they're being used. I think that they don't even know, not about Lou in particular. I'm not so sure about him entirely, because if he came from the inside, really worked for ATIP, then he knows a lot more than he's letting on. And if he does, and he thinks they're really ETs, we got a whole nother problem on our hands, right? Which is what they're trying to get us to think about. So if they're trying to get us to think about that, is that really happening, or are they covering something up? It's got to be one of the two, right? Or somewhere in between. I don't know. Anyway, so as we keep trucking here, appreciate it, guys. I see some new folks out there. What's up, Jay Winch on DLive? Love the show. First time catching off to bed. Thanks for hanging out with us. We go Monday through Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific, man, or woman, or somewhere, whoever you want to be. We're just going to call you Jay Winch. What's up, Jay Winch? Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you tomorrow. How about that? 7 p.m. Pacific. We'll have Ash, our co-host, on, and that's when we get really freaking weird. Okay, so anyway, this is what we're talking about tonight. This weird radar spoofing stuff that was palladium in the 60s and is now what? What is the name of this thing? As yet to be determined. We're calling it disclosure. Yeah. Anyway, what's up, Kelly? I see you there in the Discord. What's up, my friend? Welcome to the show. How are you? Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Whenever you're ready, man. Hop on whenever. I'm gonna keep on trucking with this. There you go. There you go.
Hello.
Hello. What's up?
Hey,
Kelly?
how's it going?
Kelly from Colorado. I'm doing great, man. How are you?
Good.
Right
call
on.
up and get things on this show tonight.
Yeah, definitely. As you know, you've been listening to us since the very beginning, so you know that this is kind of a backtrack in some cases, but it's also not, because I don't think we've ever talked about the voice of God as a representation of this. So there's new information, a new article, so it spawns the conversation back up again. But anyway, what do you think? What do you think about this all this crazy business with regard to disclosure and that project?
Again, before we talk about that, but I have never heard about the voice of God thing. And when you were talking about that, it almost kind of it shoots me back to how they would, a way they could send that out. And for me, that would be HARP, because HARP uses that type of technology where you could send. Because in the 60s, they were trying to send like voice through a almost like an amplifier, right? And they did tests on it, which kind of makes it look like waves going through. In a small lab they showed like it was a wave going through clouds. You know what I mean? Because that's the only way they can example that you could be able to see it, and it's almost kind of like the prime example of how they're using move HARP around. Anyway, there was a situation there where they had, somebody came up with the conclusion that's what they're using. That's how I believe, they could actually, HARP is actually is a device that they could use for communication, which would be verbal, or, it could be, non-verbal, which would be like computerized, it could be on a computer screen or something. But yeah, I mean, that'd be one way I would say that we could, project the sounds or something like that. Besides that other patent you were talking about. But as for Project Bluebeam, I believe that's actually what they've been doing. And just like you were talking earlier about the time frames on it, I'll give you some patents that we talked about before. Was it's called the first one they did was called the Sky Projector. And it was U.S. patent 28334-772 alpha, or A. I'm sorry, I'm military. That's using the alphabets that way, but
that's okay.
It was superseded by U.S. 3762083A, or alpha. Pretty military personnel out there, and it was made by a man by T. Lemons and C. Neiman, and it was the co-insignia which was pretty interesting, is a Metropolitan Life Insurance Company. It was filed in 1972, and it was granted in 1973. The world applications were granted in 1972. When they were first using these, there was no things of like, trying to project a UFO or anything like that. But they obviously they, use that later on, with the Russians and whatnot. But when they first came out, that they wanted to do like a second coming of Christ, or something like a biblical or something, like the voice of God or whatever they wanted to do. But now obviously they're, going to use the voice application. But before, and the video I posted, I actually posted in Discord, YouTube, and Facebook, but there was one I say that is a prime example. It's full effect of Bluebeam, which is they shot somebody filmed. It was over a town in Africa, and it was a It was an image. It was at first it was like a bright image, right? It was like a sun. Look, it was really bright, and then out of the sun, it looked like it was coming an image of the Virgin Mary. And that would be exactly the application of what we're talking about tonight on the show. By doing that, there's another which interesting was another one. It was another patent which is U.S. 4776666A, and it's called a projector for projecting a fixed star. So that's what it was pretty interesting to me. That's what it looked like to me, which was a sun or a star, and it was really bright. The inventor for that one was Jihad Huan and Klaus Dieter Scarf, Jürgen Pewitz, and Ludwig Meyer. It was filed in 1986, granted in 1988, and the world application was, I think, either in 87 or 86. But yeah, there was also, and for your Palladium, your Project Palladium, they were using these things also too. It's called the particle beam descriptors, and it was actually kind of like the same thing as the sky projector, but they were using lasers then. And it's the exact same thing like you were talking about. You're using two lasers to intersecting them and creating an image of whatever they want. So it's pretty interesting that and the government, yeah, they've been doing this. People say that the government, it's in all its faults. The military application for all these devices is something that they use for their purpose, to get an upper hand on other people or other things, via enemy, saying that, put it over, like, say, the, Middle East, say, shoot an image of, their God, whatever, who it was. I can't remember his name now, but,
Allah, whatever, yeah.
Allah or Christian, Christian with their Jesus, or, whatever. But, because those are the two warring ones, it seems like they have always seen clashing, since, Middle Ages. So, you project that and, try to force these, the enemy, if you show that in the thing, of course they're going to get riled up, if they show Allah or whatever in the sky or whatever,
Hell yeah.
That they,
let me interrupt you real quick. Let me ask you, Kelly. So you and me, we are not religious types. But if you saw Jesus in the sky talking some scripture and some fucking end of time shit, wouldn't you like smack yourself in the face a couple times just to make sure you weren't dreaming? I sure as hell would.
No, I'd probably think that would be blue beam, more or less. You know what I mean? Because the whole thing, that's the whole different story. But the whole thing for me, and the whole Jesus thing too is, that's portrayed, and that's actually, that motif has been, it's been proven to be, years on down the road. But yes, if you see something like that in an image, but let's say they do an alien invasion. My thing was to this, is that if they do an alien invasion, how would they, to project that, I see that, okay, you could see a UFO or, an orb type thing, but how would you say that was, like an invasion? You would think that, to me, an invasion is you have bombs going off or some kind of lasers or some kind of weaponry that they have, destroying shit, you know what I mean? Or landing down and you have ground forces. I don't understand where they're trying to say that it's, I don't get that part where they're saying that it's going to be, an alien invasion, a fake alien invasion, unless they have those things like you're talking about, that they can project plasma and use that somewhat as a weapon as well. That would be interesting.
Yeah, I think that's how it started. It actually started as a weapon application, and then they were able to not only make it so you could touch it, you could physically touch it, or like Jennifer was describing, I believe, it actually could move through you depending on the frequency they were projecting with these lasers. So like, as you know, right, like a little fire is not so hot, a big fire is super hot. And you're right, they're able to control that based on the wattage or whatever it is of the lasers as they intersect, right? I'm not a scientist, so I don't know the exacts, but that's how I understand it, that they're able to maybe make this thing touch you and not burn you, but you feel it, right? You actually feel maybe it's a warm pulsing sort of thing, and could actually like bump you or knock you over type of stuff. Or they can make it so blazing hot it just incinerates you as it flies by. I think that's what it was initially created for. It was a weapon of sorts, and then they started to realize that, hold on, by manipulating it properly, you could make it appear to be anything, and then also, as we learned tonight, it could also talk. They could make this damn ball of light speak to you. I mean, that's just getting more weird, right? More and more weird.
Yeah. I mean, that application right there, it almost kind of, that by hearing that, listening to that, almost makes me go into what Tesla was talking about when he had a patent that he said he destroyed, which was actually, they called it the, what was it? Something of a beam or something. I don't know, whatever it was, he said he could take out like whole fleets of aircraft in the air, like 40 miles away. Or he could take out armies like that by just using a beam. It was a beam that he used, he says, but, that's what he wanted to use instead of
death ray, right?
Yeah, I believe it was a death ray, he called it. But
yeah,
the application was when they were, they were talking about destroying mass armies at the time, and instead they went with the atom bomb, I believe. They hit those type of applications instead. But so he knew the application of that, the death ray, that he could, it was the destruction of it. So the claim was he destroyed it, but who knows with all the paperwork that was missing. So, a lot of that stuff, that they're using electromagnet, and turn it into lasers and then turn it into a plasma is almost like his. It sounds almost just like his shit too. If you listen to it, it's all, anything that's using through electricity, I believe, they advance, that they've happened after he passed away, they might be secret, but they claim to have secret. But man, there's a lot of his applications that you could just listen to it and it's Tesla stuff.
Yeah, it seems like. And so, actually, did you see that? Like I said, I think I brought it up last time you called it. Have you caught up to Skinwalker Ranch yet? Speaking of Tesla and the dirt and all that stuff.
I've been busy this whole 4th of July.
That's okay. It's not a test, bro. Fail, you get an F, Kelly. No, I'm just kidding.
Beyond that stuff, so
it's okay.
No, I have not got a chance to look at that yet, but I will.
That's okay. All right. So just curious, because if you did it very much ties into exactly what you're saying there with the Tesla being able to kind of ascend energy around the world in that free energy aspect. They were kind of discussing it because they have some soil at Skinwalker Ranch. It seems to be extra conductive to electricity. So anyway, just FYI. Okay. So as we continue then, so we got the voice of God technology. We've got this plasma spoofing. We've got, again, changing the name from UFO, unidentified flying object, to unidentified aerial phenomena, meaning that they're not even like physical anymore. But then kind of as a cover, it almost seems like we have the dimensional hypothesis, right? String theory now. Not that I don't believe that stuff. Clearly, it's of a sort. It's scientific. It's worth considering and discussing, or else I wouldn't talk about it. Quantum entanglement, all kinds of really, really interesting things, right? The observer effect, the double slit experiment, all kinds of like particle wave duality, an unbelievable amount of like holy shit stuff in this world we live in, right? But just saying alien, it's not China, it's not Russia, it's not ours. Isn't that saying it's aliens? I mean, right? Like, isn't it kind of? I mean,
yeah, man. I mean, what else can it be? They're telling you that it's not. What's the word? What's a better word? But I would just say it's not of this earth. They're obviously beating around the bush saying that. And to me, that's if I read into that, that's what it's telling me. I mean, it's only obvious, just like you're saying. But yeah, I mean, this stuff has been going on for like people. You listen to people that called in, and even in the chat, we're a very smart group here. We're not, that stupid. We know that this stuff has been for how many decades, it's 50s, 60s, 40s. It's not like that we haven't got our hands on some kind of technology. Maybe we didn't know how to operate or like we've been improving it, like you're saying. I mean, it's happening. It's there. I just hope to see that, that they don't use that type of application in no sense, because, if you're using religion, I mean, I'm not religious, but there are hundreds of millions of people on this planet that, that are in those two basic religions that will be, that's war,
exactly. That's exactly what it is.
And it's that.
They've gone to war for less. They've gone to war for far less than like an apparition in the sky. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. I mean, it's nuts. You're right.
I'm saying you're correct. It's just, to me, it's a sad situation if they're going to be, and that's like scraping the bottom of the barrel, man. It's this government. I wouldn't even say it's a government. It's the military-industrial complex that's controlling all this shit. And if they can tell even the president that it's none of your business, you don't have the know to know. I mean, then who does then?
Exactly. Knowing that they're temporary employees and they're going to be gone, and they're just basically covering for Epstein and all the dirty shit that's going on with these damn politicians. Yeah, it's crazy. It's a crazy world we live in, and this is the thing, right? That's why we get together and talk about this shit. Because if you talk about this with normies, man, they'll call the cops on you. It's a terrorist.
Check out that video. It's pretty crazy. The one I posted, it's the one that looks like Virgin Mary coming out of like a ball of light. It literally looks like it's and they use, it's not like just one color. It's like multiple colors. That's what's crazy, and just to see it, you can hear people screaming because they think it's something that's really religious, but I'm pretty sure it's blue beam if you look at it, because it's not like it's like an image comes and it goes. It's like going through a portal or something and coming back out, and it's pretty fucking huge. It's in the sky. It's pretty big. Pretty interesting though.
Yeah, I don't see it. Where did you put it? In the Discord?
Yeah, I put it on. It's a YouTube. I put it in Discord and on the show chat. Okay. And also put it in YouTube and in Facebook.
Okay, gotcha.
All
right, cool.
Yeah. Did you find it?
I don't see it. There's a lot of chat in. I'm scrolling up. It's okay. Let's see. There's one from Richard. There's a. Yeah, no. There's lots of links in there too. I don't know. I'm looking. I'll keep looking. Go ahead and keep on. I'll find it, man. I'll find it.
I'll put it right now, and then I'll put it in the show chat right now.
Okay, there we go. Thank you. All right, look, guys, we're still taking your phone calls if you want to be part of the show. We're here with Kelly. I'm not running you off, Kelly. You're welcome to stay as long as you like. You already know that. If you guys want to be part of the show, give us a call, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We're going to go as long as you guys are interested. Like I said, we'll go all the way to the third hour if you guys keep calling. If not, then, we'll end it just a little bit early just because we added an extra day. You get one extra day of Troubled Minds now. Still going to try and do the conspiracy news on Monday and Friday. Stretching myself thin, but I think the cause is good, and I think that we're gaining some momentum here. We got some people, new people finding us all the time, and it's kind of like you push the mountain up the mountain and then finally reach a crest, and so it's time to push. It's time to push harder, right? So that's what's up. That's what's going on. But if I can take a 15-minute breath here or there, I'm going to do that. So if you guys are continuing to be interested in calling in, 702-957-1037, we'll go all the way to the third hour. If not, we'll cut it just a little bit short, like I said. So there you go. The number's up, and there you go. NS says, Kelly's a fucking stud. Thanks, Kelly. There you go. There you go. That's a good compliment. I'd take that any day, but I agree. I concur. Kelly's a fucking stud.
I don't know. So if you wanted to play this right there, it's but it's like as soon as you start the video, they get right into it. It's like you could see the apparition in the sky and shit, and people screaming. They're freaking out.
Okay, let's do this. Let's do this real quick. Let's put this up and let's watch a part of this video. I think you can even hear it here, but you've seen it, so you don't need to see it again. All right, let's do it. Yeah. So we have this. So Kelly's describing this as an apparition in the sky. Looks like the Virgin Mary of sorts. I'm going to link it in the chat so you guys can actually see this for yourself in full screen. But here we go. This is from Kelly sharing this video. Let's play it. Here we go. Action. I'm going to turn that off just because the music may trigger copyrights like it always does. But there you go. You can see, hear the people screaming in the back. And as you can see there, like Kelly was describing, it appears to be a vision in the sky of, we talked about this with the that thing in Portugal, Our Lady Fatima, right? Fatima, whatever that's called. Here's something similar where people are screaming and you appear to see an apparition of a person, of a lady, of a something in the sky, and very much like we've been describing tonight. Very on point, Kelly. I've never seen this. What is this from? Virgin Mary appears in Africa sky, blue beam morning. And yeah, what the hell? Again, right? Like, can this be faked? Sure. But I think this is exactly the type of thing that you could fake anything you want to fake, right? That's a hell of a video, man. Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, if like we were talking about when that sky projector was first invented before even blue beam. This is like the beginning of blue beam. They wanted to project. It wasn't like I said. It wasn't the UFOs or the aliens. They wanted to project a second coming of Christ, something biblical. Now, to me, that's what that is. If you look at beginning of that, just the whole video. That's and just like the one you said over in Italy, the apparitions of what looks like the Virgin Mary, what they're saying. But yeah, that's exactly the application they're using. So it's just, what I mean? It's maybe it's not here. They're using it in somewhere else, third world countries or somewhere else where, that they want to try to scare, just to see what happens if, they put it up there. And you already see the results, people are freaking out.
Yeah, people screaming. Like the person with the camera couldn't even keep it on, like all the people running around him and stuff. And that's what you would expect, like I said. And think about big data now. Like I was saying earlier in the show, like we have the exact demographics to be able to say, all right, this is the most religious part of the country. Let's put this in the sky and see what the fuck happens, right? I mean, if you're going to do it like the sickest way possible, that would be it, right? That would be it, man. Like, holy crap.
Yeah. So, I just wanted to share that a little bit and, show the video. But, yeah, I mean, again, if you guys go ahead and want to research that, too, that's what they wanted to do in the first place. But now, I mean, we're in 2021. I mean, they got all kinds of shit now. So, I mean, just stand by to find out what these people are doing, We're on top of it like we usually do. So, I just wanted to throw it out there and have a good night, family.
Appreciate it, my man. Kelly from Colorado, you're the best. We'll talk to you soon. Say hi to my show for us. Thanks, brother. All right, there you go. You guys want to be part of the show? 702-957-1037. Great addition there from Kelly. And as always, he kicks in the third hour because of his sailor mouth. I appreciate him being flexible with us to not be dropping F-bombs on the radio. It's all good. And he's always sharing fantastic information. I've never seen that video. And interestingly, that's exactly the type of stuff that we're kind of talking about tonight, right? Like these visions in the sky, these, back to the biblical burning bush and things like this. If you're able to project anything you want into the sky and then make it talk, right? Make it speak. Yeah, I mean, like Axel was saying when he was called in on Discord there, he was saying that it would sound kind of like it was coming through a speaker, right? Which they actually described in the technology we were talking about a little bit earlier. I'll have all these links again. You guys can always follow all my links and all the rest of this stuff. But here it is right here. There it is. So this notably, let's talk about this just real fast. This is from Popular Mechanics, speaking of human speech and these things that float in the sky. And like I said, it's suspicious AF that the mainstream media doesn't touch any of this, right? You never see this actually put forward as a possibility, which makes me think and suspicious as hell that it's this is what's going on, right? Like the second they try and ignore something and make it into something else, you got to know, right? There's something afoot here. So anyway, Popular Mechanics. This is way back in 2018, March 22nd, 2018. The Pentagon mimicking human speech with lasers is the creepiest thing you'll hear all week, right? Most of the U.S.'s laser projects have to do with using the focused beams of light either as weapons or as aiming devices for weapons. But now the Pentagon is experimenting with lasers for an unlikely purpose, actually mimicking human speech. The result is a system that could be useful for psychological operations, making announcements, or just plain weirding out the enemy. Defense One reports this profoundly weird Department of Defense program, and according to the article, the process relies upon a phenomenon called the laser-induced plasma effect. For use, one laser, a femto laser, to create a ball of plasma. That ball of plasma becomes a medium. It is shot with a second laser, a nano laser, tuned to an extremely narrow frequency. This way, the ball of plasma can be manipulated in ways to produce light and noise. Here's the video in which the experiment looks like a creepy talking version of the Eye of Sauron. And notably, yep, that's right, this video has been taken down. You see what I'm saying? This is exactly the way the media works, right? Like somebody makes a request to YouTube. Nope, that shit shouldn't be out. Take that shit down. YouTube dumps it or whatever the hell happened to this. I don't know the background story, but clearly this video was available in 2018 when they wrote this article. However, it is no longer available. Notice also the media is not talking about this. I really, really think, okay, again, and please don't get me wrong, but I really think this new disclosure effort is a bunch of propaganda bullshit. Absolute bullshit. I think it is. And again, I do not think that there aren't real UFOs. Unexplainable, inexplicable, in the sky, that we have no freaking idea what they are. I believe they're out there. But this tiny slice of information, the media full-throated, shouting in the same direction, trying to tell us exactly the implication is aliens, right? It's not China, it's not Russia, it's not us. Like I said, what is the implication? Well, not that it's plasma projections in the sky. Plasma projections in the sky, yeah. So we can't even get, I've looked for extra footage of this on YouTube. I can't find it. So in the old days, I found one that was like an actual plasma projection in the sky from like a Japanese video, and they were doing it back in like 2010. They had like these butterflies in the sky that were just like looked not real. I mean, but they look like clearly like butterflies. You would never mistake what they were. So it's just like as the technology develops and gets better and better, right? So now you could have like Shrek, right, show up and start talking to you in the Shrek voice, right? Like this is the type of shit that could happen. And just to throw a ridiculous example out there. So I don't know. And so when you talk about technology like that, making these Tic Tacs in the air is nothing. Literally is nothing to accomplish, right? You got to have these projectors on these ships, right? And that's it. You got to have you got to have it so that you don't tell, you clearly only brief like the captain of the ship, and that's it, right? Notably too, PJ Hughes, who was at the Tic Tac incident back in the Nimitz encounter, back in I believe it was 2004, right? I think that was the date. I've contacted him on Twitter. He said he doesn't think it's palladium. He's a radar operator, right? But he did say that they came and they retrieved the radar data tapes right after the incident. He said that a helicopter flew in from San Diego, landed, and they went in and they took these tapes and they took them back. So so notably, right, the suspicious thing about that is now David Fravor says that didn't happen, but he's not a radar operator. How the fuck would he know? No offense to Fravor, but he was in a plane, right? If you're in the radar room running radar and they come in and take your tapes, you would know. And so there's a point of contention here. And this is what I'm saying. It depends on who you ask. All these things depend on who you ask. Anyway, As you can tell, I'm fired up about this. It kind of pisses me off just a little bit. Let's. So where we go? We're still taking phone calls, and like I said, we'll continue trucking if you guys want to be part of the show. 702-957-1037, troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link. Get your ass in here. Go to the website, click the Discord link, and we'll put you on the show. Speaking of putting you on the show, let's go to Jay in New York. I got you muted. No, you're muted. You muted yourself. All right, Jay, welcome to the show.
Sorry, Mike.
You're good. Bro.
Thanks, Mike.
You're good, bro.
I love the way you're helping me out with getting in there.
You're good, man. Whenever you're ready. Whenever you're ready. How are you?
Good. Traveling. I'm actually down here where I can hear the bass play the Reveille and the Star Spangled Banner in the morning when I wake up now, or the base that I worked at when I was doing things there. It's the listening center for the Atlantic Ocean, and the place is ancient. I've been in the building working on the doors and stuff like that because I'm just a carpenter, and the place is obviously built 50s, so this stuff is old. It's been going on for a long time, real long time. You're right. They're probably pulling the wool over our eyes, letting us, hey, we're doing the big alien disclosure. People are listening from all over the world to the show that you got and other shows. Mainstream media is picking it up now. Everybody's thinking about it. And, 20 years down the road, we're going to find out that it was them shooting laser beams at the sun to the part of the wherever that was that Kelly posted the video there of,
Yeah.
Imagine doing that over Mecca during Ramadan.
Exactly. Like if that shit wouldn't like literally just break down an entire like widespread community, nothing would. And that's what I mean, right? So with big data, we know the best and the worst spots to do something like this, to get the best and the worst reactions. So, depending on who you ask, right? The best reaction is the reaction you want to get. If you're using big data to maybe, somewhere in the Bible Belt, right? Like you pick the most, Catholic community, and you put the Virgin Mary in the sky. You know what I mean? Like, if that's not, like I said, and so to say that the government wouldn't do something like this again, you go back to the 50s, they were detonating nukes out here north of Vegas, right? Upwind of Cedar City and St. George, Utah, which has had effects since then, right? The higher cancer rates, all kinds of shit, right? Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, for people to say the government wouldn't do that. Get out of here. Get out of here.
Well, back then, people were having parties. They were going out there and being like, hey, they're going to let one off today. Let's go out there and stand in the desert and watch it.
Yeah, they were watching from Vegas, as they exploded nuclear bombs out in the desert. Yeah, that's what I mean, right? So clearly there were safer places to do that, is my point. And so there's still a fallout that's happening from that, because that, of course, that stuff goes downwind and it settles in particular areas, which is again St. George and Cedar City. And I know for a fact, because I live in that area and I know people from that area. I mean, they're just higher cancer rates. It is what it is, and you can't say, oh, well, it's probably just a natural thing. No, fuck off. It's because you were detonating nukes in the desert in the 50s. Come on. Anyway, so just point being that, like, this type of thing, gain of function type things are normal. The government does these things. And so to say that, well, they would never do that, I'm not willing to go that far. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, there's tons and tons of those, everywhere. The things that they've done that were really messed up. There's a place up by where I live in New York that had the highest concentration of mercury in the world. It's just, and it's something, and it's a teeny tiny, it's called an army depot. They have a train track that runs into a building that's probably only a couple 100 yards long, but the trains that come out of there are forever. It's backed up right next to the side of a mountain. What are they doing in there? And everybody knows it. Nobody knows what they're doing. Nobody that lives there works there. It's just the National Guard holds the door. That's it. Everything else that goes on in there is 100% top secret, But, Binghamton designed computers, they did some of the greatest technology in aviation came out of Binghamton. You know, it's just the stuff that comes out of there is intense. But, you know, it's just, where do we go with it? You know, you have to do it somewhere, I suppose, you know.
Well, it's not like they don't have like these underground bases and these gigantic test ranges where nobody's allowed to go anywhere near. You know what I'm saying? The problem with that is, right? So sorry, go ahead.
That one's right behind a children's home.
Yeah, see?
Right behind. I mean, the only reason why I know it and I've seen it is because my wife, ex-wife, used to work at that children's home, and we only had one car, so I would go and pick her up and sit there in the parking lot because she took care of kids. So sometimes you got off on time, sometimes you're, you know, kids having a fit or something like that, you know, you're not getting out on time. So sometimes you'd be 15, 20 minutes sitting there looking, and it'd be like, what the hell are they doing there? You know, they start asking people, well, nobody knows. It's been that way since the 40s.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of it. So you see why I'm super agitated with this whole disclosure project, because these things are, by the technology we know, if we know about it, what is this shit going on we don't know about, right? There's gonna be some DARPA shit that we don't know about. So
that's scary.
That's scary. And so these UFOs where people are like, there's no fucking way, right? They're doing things that like break our laws of physics. No, lasers zipping around the sky can move as fast as you want them to move. That does not break our laws of physics. We have that ability. And so this is what I'm talking about. And this is why I'm suspicious. And this is why I continue to say this, and I'll continue to say this as more information comes out to make this conversation relevant. I'll continue to add it to the pile. Because, of course, like I said, the mainstream media dodges it. They don't talk about any of this shit. Notice, pick one article that you've seen in the mainstream where they've said, oh, by the way, it could be plasma radar spoofing. If you show me one, I'll eat my hat. You know what I mean?
I like that hat. Don't eat that hat. Eat a different hat.
Okay. Don't eat the hat. All right. It's a nice hat. All right. But you know what I'm saying? It's
well, like, I mean, that Luma thing that I was telling you about, I don't know, a week or so ago, where the house that I work on all the time with the historical restoration, she lives in one of the apartments there, and they go out there, and it's like they're filming a video game. You know how they put the little sensors on them and everything else like that? So you can get the elbows and the hands and the wrists and everything else like that with the gloves and the, you know, cameras on all different parts of the body. But once a year, with the exception of last year, they do a thing. It's an art project, and they take in a film, or they shoot their film and project it onto the sides of buildings in downtown. And the building looks nothing like it did. It looks like their artwork. You know, there's dancing and all that kind of stuff going on in there. But shoot that up into a cloud. You know, have the planes fly by and lay down their, you know, vapor trail or whatever you want to call it. At, you know, 3:00 in the afternoon and midnight, turn that thing on. These things are intense. I mean, the projectors are the size of a car, and they use the things that they pull around to construction sites to power them times 2 or 3. And it is an entire building will completely disappear and be whatever the picture that they're showing on the building. You won't be able to see any of the structure of the building. All you'll see is the picture. And that's something that they do. You know, 3,000-4,000 people showed up to the first one, and now it's like 10. You know, and it's a teeny tiny town. You know, it's a little town in upstate New York. You're telling me that the guys at Fleet Combat Training Center, you know, half a mile through the swamp here, can't do something like that? There's no way. You know, the thing is called the Luma Project. You know, it's just, we have the technology. We definitely do. And it's just, who's got it in their hand? What are they using it for? Why? It always comes back to that why, doesn't it, Mike?
Always. That's the question. That's why we're here asking these questions. And again, right, like this seems like a simple explanation that you would be able to right? To be able to explain this away. But then, of course, then you're tipping your hand about what the military's up to, or maybe up to. Because I don't know. Again, I don't have answers. Like I said, I don't have a Galactic Federation ambassador sources. I've never worked in the military. Nothing like that. I don't have any inside anything. I want to be clear about that. I do not. But like I said, I watch the news very, very, very closely. I'm looking for Luma here, the Luma project.
I posted it in the Discord.
Okay.
A long time. It was about 2 weeks ago, probably.
There's no chance I'll find it. If you can, please drop it back in there when you're finished. Yeah. So just point being that, like, clearly, if you pay close enough attention, you can find out what's going on. In my opinion, not that I have all the answers here, but I think in this one, I'm closer than what the media is trying to project. And meaning that, well, if you pay attention, I think the answers are out there. Kind of like we talk about the media is fake, but there is a baby in the bathwater at some point. So, if you pay attention to what they're saying and what they're not saying, what they're deflecting from, I think you can discern a nugget of truth. How far that gets you, I don't know, because one nugget is just a start, right? There's a ton more shit past that we'll never get to because it's locked up in the DARPA headquarters or whatever. But you see what I'm saying. So, all right, good night, Richard. Thanks for hanging out with us, guy. Appreciate that. All right, so let's. We got I don't know, about 10 minutes left. Anybody? We got time for you if you have a phone call. You want something you want to talk about. So we got. We're gonna do the outro with Jay here. But if you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037, troubledminds.org. And yeah, there we go. Mr. Mission Control says I need a cigar now. Yeah. I need some whiskey. Oh wait, luckily I have some right here. Yeah.
It's a good thing you're in your bunker.
Yeah, right. Exactly. We're all stocked up in the bunker for sure. So, like I said, everybody always brags they have a bunker, but look, I'm the only guy that has proof, right? Oh, there it is, right there. There it is. If you come across that in the Nevada desert, it's not mine. It's totally not mine. But
don't go running up to the door to knock and be like, "Hey, Mike, can I have a beer?"
Don't do that. Don't do that. All right, so let's finish this up, Jay. Thoughts on all the rest of this, man? So, what about that God, the voice of God? Like, what the hell is this, right? Like, if they're doing that and they can actually do that. Remember, in 2018, they said, give us about 3 years, we'll be able to fake entirely a human voice. Well, it's 2021. Welcome to the show.
Last year was, a warm-up, to get us our daily dose of WTF,
Exactly.
Just that way we'd be a little bit less, oh, wow, there's something in the sky talking to us, telling us that, we need to do whatever. I don't want to get too political on that just because of the reasons that, But, yeah, I mean, the biblical part of it and all that, you could really, really... I come back to, why would you want to do that? What would your purpose be?
Well, it's always control.
Well, yeah, I mean, so you're that weak that you have to manipulate people's minds into thinking something that is completely untrue to get your nasty, dirty, rotten, disgusting point to get them to believe in it.
To manipulate the shit out of people. Exactly. Good night, Mudeep. Thanks for hanging out with us, man. We'll catch you tomorrow night. We'll be doing it tomorrow night with Ash the Reptilian. We've got some hot, spicy shit on deck for tomorrow night, too. Some more UFO drama. But yeah, no, you're right. Like, and I think that's the worst part about this is once these technologies are kind of locked in, and some people have suggested with the UFOs that there's the actual breakaway civilization that's like zipping around in these things. I don't buy it. Because like such a simple thing would be like we always say, right? Where's our fucking flying cars? Right? Where's our damn flying cars? If they're zipping around in UFOs, we should have had flying cars a decade ago, right? And Elon Musk is barely getting self-driving cars on the road. I mean, this is goofy. It doesn't, like, there's so much that does not track. It does not make sense. That, sure, fine, I understand DARPA's way ahead of us, but does that mean that? And I also saw recently that there's other other countries that are trying to copy DARPA, right, and try and have these super advanced, super secret things happen in the UK, happening in, I think it was Australia, some other places, right? They're creating these DARPA-like projects where everything's like super black budget and super advanced technology that we won't see for decades, right? But they're using it now, and this is the type of shit. Like another one, I saw somebody linked something. They're going to test this pill in the military that slows aging. Did you see that shit? Speaking
no.
of yeah, for real.
No.
For real. Well, I'll pull it up.
Where can that go wrong?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Those people start breeding, meet some girl and, overseas or something like that and have an accident. Forget to wear the condom.
Whoa.
What?
You're going to take us down that road. I'm just saying. All right.
Well, I mean, no, but really, I mean, they think about it, you're altering the way that somebody is, whatever. I mean, even with the prick, we can call it, what's going to happen when all those, you're changing RNA, right? I mean, that's how it works.
Yep.
Yep. When we start, you're going to have we're changing, whether we're evolving or, someone's pushing us down that road or whatever it might be. We're changing the way that we are. It's going to get bred into us eventually.
Right. It's kind of like the Monsanto stuff, right? You genetically manipulate all the seeds, and then it just blows downwind on the organic shit, and then everything's the same anyway. So it doesn't really fucking matter.
Well, yeah. Then you buy all the farmland from one side of the country to the other. So the only place you can grow food is on somebody's land, and you got to buy my seeds.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly right. Or make them buy them. Yeah, make them buy them again. Yeah, I don't know. Like crazy. This is crazy stuff. So again, here we go. This is from MSN.com, as reported by Popular Mechanics. This is actually posted 3 hours ago, of all things. SOCOM is investing more money in clinical trials of anti-aging compounds. The chemical in question would be a nutraceutical for all cellular signs of age. It's not clear in what specific way this is likely to help the U.S. military personnel. Are you shitting me? How would it not? Really? What if you could keep your entire force 22 years old? You think they wouldn't have a physical advantage? Of course they would. No, come on, people, think. Come on, you knucklehead MSNs or whoever's writing this. Quote, we have completed preclinical safety and dosing studies in anticipation of follow-on performance testing in fiscal year 2022. Naval Commander Tim Hawkins, a SOCOM spokesperson, told Breaking Defense. The pill involves what Hawkins called a human performance small molecule that will be fashioned into a nutraceutical form for both civilians and military personnel. He continued, quote, these efforts are not about creating physical traits that don't already exist naturally. This is about enhancing the mission readiness of our forces by improving performance characteristics that typically decline with age. Essentially, we are working with leading industry partners and clinical research institutions to develop a nutraceutical in the form of a pill that is suitable for a variety of uses by both civilians and military members, whose resulting benefits may include improved human performance, like increased endurance and faster recovery from injury. There we go. Let's file this under how could this go wrong?
They thought meth was great when they, back in Germany in the day,
Yeah, they
hopping all those guys up.
They're all hopped up on meth, yep.
Yep, giving them acid in Vietnam, they thought that was a cool idea.
Yep.
And that worked out now. Yeah, that worked out great. Now we got problems in every major rural area in the country with, people making it out of turpentine and crap in trailers in the middle of nowhere.
Yep. Exactly right. Exactly. But so just point being, right? So think about that. So if they're testing it in like trials now in 2022, how long do you think DARPA's been working on something like this? Like that's kind of the point, right? So it's like they probably have like internal tests on, I don't know, let's say a clandestine, I don't know, like just weirdness, right? Like where are all those missing 411 people? You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's the government, but I'm saying if it was, they have a use for those people that end up missing. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Like there's just a lot of weird shit here that seems like WTF. I don't know. NSS pill side effect is a third testicle. Yeah, hope not. I hope not. Daryl says fucking and fighting machines. Exactly right. You keep them down to 22 years old and right forever until something's got to break. The human body's not meant to do that, so something's got to break at some point. And so basically, now here's what I envision with this. They're going to start giving like our military readiness, the soldiers, operatives, whatever, these pills. And then they're going to be like in the prime of their life for a little bit longer, but then they're going to break down hard, right? That's what's going to fucking happen here. And then, of course, it's going to come back on the medical system and the VA and all the rest of the stuff that's already broke as fuck. After they break these people in the field, and then they bring them home and don't take care of them, and they're going to commit suicide. You know what I mean? Like this is the fucking world we live in, people. And again, nobody wants to talk about it. It's tragic, it's grotesque, and it is what it is. It is what it is. And that's why we talk about this. And that is right there is having a goddamn troubled mind. I'll tell you that, because that's the fact of the matter. But anyway, all right, let's wrap this up, Jay. We're at the end of this. We did 3 hours, guys. Yay. Appreciate you calling.
Sorry I missed you last night, Mike. I had it ready for you and everything else like that. I was just trying to set up. I was driving from New York to Virginia.
No apologies necessary.
My bad.
Shit happens, and we all got our lives we got to take care of. So it's no problem. I appreciate you being enthusiastic and trying to make it. So all right, let's finish this up. We're done, and we're talking about again like all this weird UFO stuff in the media and why we shouldn't trust the things they say, and you should look to these people that are leading the charge with a suspicious mind, with a troubled mind, let's say. Only because I'm not calling anybody a liar. I don't want to do that. But I do want to say that the information they're bringing might not be entirely accurate. Let's say that. And maybe they don't even know, right? So it would be no fault of their own. So in any case, like that's how I want to frame this, because it's true. It's very true. Look at the Richard Doty, the Paul Benowitz thing. Like there's a whole bunch of disinformation stuff that's happened in the UFO community for a very long time. So I just want to point out that there's sketchy shit been happening for quite a long time. All right, so we'll be back with Ash tomorrow, and there we go. Let's finish this up. You got a quote? Let's do it, Jay. Let's do it, brother.
Sure. It's from a movie.
All right. What is it?
I never told her about our 7 days together, or how in the future that will now never happen. She changed me forever. I'm never going to leave her. I'm never going to leave this family, because the best part of my future turns out that was always right in front of me. It's Dan Forrester from that Tomorrow War that just came out on Amazon, which is a pretty intense movie for people that watch this show.
Nice.
Because it's like right up the alley. Would kind of blew my brain up. It was like, damn it, wow. You guys are really messing with people after last year. But yeah.
Right. And there you go. Like tell me Hollywood and the media and the government aren't working together. Tell me. Try and convince me.
I can't do that.
Try and convince me.
Won't do it.
I won't do it.
Not here, man.
Thank you, Jay.
Not coming for me.
Great quote. I appreciate
Good night,
that.
Mike.
Would you recommend people watching that?
Yes.
Okay. Do watch it.
Yes, absolutely.
Just bring your...
It's a good flick.
Bring your tinfoil.
Yeah, and if you do have the Amazon, make sure you sub up to the Twitch there and give Mike his
couple bucks a month. If you sub up with, thank you. If you sub up to our Twitch channel through your Amazon Prime account, it gives us $2.49 a month. So even if you love the show and don't want to send any money, that's a free way to do it that you're already paid for. I say free because you've already paid for it. So if you want to do that, let me know. It's you can get the information in our Discord. Please join the Discord. And like I said, it's literally $2.49. It's not the end of the world, but it helps. If you start kicking it in and adding it up, it all helps. And I appreciate paying the bills for the show. And I'm actually, because we're in the black a little bit, I'm running ads. We're running ads for the show. So if you see some Google ads and shit out there, don't click on them. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it, because I'll have to pay for that. Actually, the ads will pay for that. But anyway, I appreciate everybody. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being here. Like I always say, you could be doing a million other things, and you're here with us right now. So I'm honored by that. Thank you, Jay, for peeling out some time, and Kelly and everybody else. Daryl for calling, Jennifer for calling. Who kicked us off tonight? I think it was Daryl got us started. If I missed you, I'm sorry, because I've got a lot on my mind, because, well, I have a troubled mind. in any case, as we finish, thanks again, Jay. You're the best. Everybody else, we'll be back Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Remember, 7 p.m. Pacific. Monday and Friday, we're doing... I may add Wednesday. Why the fuck not? I may add a Wednesday show in the daytime. We'll see. Stay tuned for that, maybe. All right. Like I said, if you push a mountain up a mountain and you reach a crest, push harder. Push harder. There seems to be some wind behind us, and it may be because of all the UFO news. I don't know, but people are finding us, and that's a good thing. So thank you all for hanging out. Thanks for being here at the end. Be sure, be strong, be true. And thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night.
Good night, Mike.
Thanks, Jay. We'll talk to you soon, brother.